For the ones going above and beyond. For the ones reaching out, helping out, and lending a hand. For the ones people count on. You can count on Grainger. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. Backed by 24/7 customer support and specialists to help with hard-to-find products. Because you've got everyone's back. We've got yours. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sports have a way of bringing us all together. And at Sleeper, we developed a fantasy platform designed to make leagues more fun and personal. Sleeper includes an integrated chat and every feature you could want for your NFL, NBA, and even esport leagues. Plus, it's completely free with no ads. See why millions have made Sleeper the fastest-growing fantasy platform. Download Sleeper on the App Store or Google Play today.
This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they're kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
You got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans, that's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd, here with me I have Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Chilling, man. Ready to pack some folks up, pack some situations up, and celebrate some stuff, ether some stuff, and chill for the next however long this goes. And we got returning guests. Been on One Nation Radio before, of the Military Industrial Suplex Podcast. I don't know if he's still running that, but my man Tom Batista, what's going on, man?
Rich, it's great to be here. James, it's great to be here. One Nation Radio, the Military Industrial Suplex, is back. So it's been a long hiatus. It's been some time, but we're coming back this week. We have Candy Lee from New Zealand. She's going to be the first guest. I have some guests coming up. So we're restarting the podcast. It's been a pandemic. The pandemic has infected all of us, unfortunately. But we're back. We're vaccinated. And we're back.
Oh man, this is smooth jazz right now. James hit the music like What's going on with you, man?
Oh, it's been interesting. I moved out here closer to you guys, so hope to see you sometime down the road when it's less crazy. I know James is locked up like it's a zombie apocalypse, 50 locks on the door.
You can never be too cautious.
You can never be too cautious, especially out here. Like I said, I see everything happening as it is, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, well, maybe I should stay home as well.
Yeah, man. I've been just this whole weekend. My Twitter's been going like crazy. Between I guess just everything I'm sending out is like just on fire right now. I made my return to column writing. If you guys want to check that out, on voiceofwrestling.com, my first ever column there was CM Punk, Best in the World comes home. And I guess there's no better place to begin than CM Punk returns to professional wrestling, as he said, and shows up in AEW we all knew this was on tap. We saw plenty of people that were trying to hate leading up to it, that were coming up with all types of cockamamie scenarios. What if he doesn't show up? Wouldn't it be great if, such and such came out to the music and trolled everybody for heat? Wouldn't just any type of hey, how about this worst case scenario that would basically kill the goodwill of the promotion? I want to see that just for laughs and shit. So there was a lot of those people I think, are about to get packed up with all this CM Punk shit. Punk came out. It was quite frankly very incredible. And I just I love the whole presentation of it. We'll get deeper into the weeds on that, but what do you guys think about the return?
Go ahead, Tom.
As far as the return is concerned, I think that the return for me signified the nail in the coffin. As far as not differentiating, what am I talking about? But being able to separate and tell the difference between WWE and AEW. Vince McMahon has said this for over 30 years. He's sports entertainment. WWE was wrestling. TNA tried to be sports entertainment light, and WWE. AEW feels like wrestling. AEW is one of the first companies in the last 20 years, mainstream companies in America, to come out and say, hey guys, listen, this is what we do. This is who we are. This is where we're going to be. We are not going to do the fart jokes and poop jokes and the sports entertainment. We're going to be wrestling. We're going to focus on wrestling. And seeing CM Punk return years after the pipe bomb, years after people chanting CM Punk, years after within TNA as well, people chanting, this is what we want. People within WWE hijacking, or not necessarily people, but rather the crowd hijacking, if we want to say that, the product that was being presented. Everything that Nick Khan said and WWE has done in the last 3 months, this year and the last year, with the layoffs, the reconstructuring internally with NXT, etc., CM Punk's debut in AEW, reemergence within professional wrestling, and recommitment, for me, signified the stake, or not the stake, but just that split between sports entertainment and pro wrestling. I feel as though it is unfair to compare the two right now. And him coming back was just a big moment for fans and for people who really love professional wrestling, not sports entertainment, but professional wrestling. And that's what it represented to me. And that's what it means to me. And it's two entirely different companies at this point.
James?
Well said. For me, I think Rich had a conversation with me maybe 6 months ago in regards to CM Punk, and he said something along the lines of relaying something someone else said, or I can't remember exactly, but AEW can't fully be AEW until they get CM Punk, in a way, because he's more or less the alpha to the omega of, let's say, Kenny Omega. Of he kickstarted and sparked the life of something in pro wrestling, in WWE, with the Summer of Punk and the Pipe Bomb and the title run and all the stuff he did until he left in 2014. He sparked something that was a major buoy to, at the time, was a kind of lesser known world outside of WWE in the wrestling realm, right? To be quite honest with you, if not for three people in particular, but one person in front of those three people, that being John Cena, The Rock, and specifically CM Punk and the Pipe Bomb and the Summer of Punk, we do not start One Nation Radio. He is, at one point, he was my favorite wrestler. He's one of like maybe 15 people that in my entire life have ever been my favorite wrestler at any point. 15 or 16, something like that. So, I guess that's saying that you can say I'm fickle or whatever. I'm just pointing out that like at different points, different movements, different spaces in time, like I can point to certain people and say this person was my favorite wrestler going right now. To where like if there's anybody I want to see most or tune in next week to go see, it's that person. So from there, for him to come out. For that crowd to go off the way it did, for all the hype, for all of the, quite frankly, the leakage, the smart leaking that they did, to let people know a month ahead of time, to do everything to, to put a fourth, showing the market up and immediately sells out because people know, what to expect, and for them to follow through and them to do something, quite frankly, better than what most of our imaginations had for a CM Punk comes to AEW type of moment. It was huge. The reaction was huge. The crowd was incredible. It was a special moment. You had people crying. You had people just like losing their minds. Like it was like Christmas Day kids. I just thought it was one of the best moments in wrestling, in pro wrestling, in American pro wrestling I've ever seen. It's the closest thing you get to like seeing just waves of fans crying in like New Japan and King's Road matches, classes and stuff like that. And he comes down, he takes in that ovation, and you hear about, the adrenaline rush and the thrill of the crowd that, all these people that are so passionate, and like the passion is what led AEW to where it is now and where it's going to go in the future. Always is what these people are willing to go through, to put their bodies through, to get the crowd, to get that feeling, and what they do to, and how we reciprocate with that noise, and for all the stuff CM Punk has gone through a trial, through possible, not even saying he handled this perfectly, because like that the Colt Cabana stuff is his fault, or whatever the fallout was on that. Is mostly on him. To go through all of that, all those years of being gone, of someone we've seen, say I'm done with wrestling. I'm done with wrestling in WWE, and try other things and fail and come back to it. And the satisfaction I get out of Jon Moxley, more or less being I don't want to say a referendum, but more or less showing you, like, I can't speak for the entire company of WWE, but I was right as far as like, I have this passion. I feel like I should be doing this. I'm going to go out there and prove. Proof of concept is what I was looking for, words I was struggling to find. Proof of concept, because I believe that's actually what Jon Moxley said. Have that proof of concept to build what he's built over the last 2 years. And then think of this being like Punk, when it's the entire whole thing, the biggest thing from the beginning to now, from 2014 to now, to him to come out there and see that, like, after all that time, after all of the stuff that's happened, after some of the failures, some of the mishandlings of things, for people to come out and give him that kind of ovation in his town, where, you think about it, how it comes full circle, where like that crowd is electric for him when he comes out at Money in the Bank 2011. And then this crowd is even another level than that. After all this time, for that to happen, CM Punk deafening chants, and then they come out right immediately and bring him out, and he receives that ovation. After being so gone for so long, he guaranteed there had to be some reservations of, how much would they care, whatever else. Obviously he knows because he saw it the building, but like to get that ovation, him take it in and him go down to his knees, and he comes up and he's in tears, and it was just an awesome moment. And he's hugging a fan, and then he stage dives and everything. And, it was just an amazing moment. And then the promo was somehow even better than that. And I was just like, I don't know how somebody that has not watched wrestling or was a fan or whatever, like, I don't know how you don't see that, have an idea of what's going on, or have at a point see that and not just like have a big bright smile like, yo, this is something special. What does it mean? We'll see eventually, but like that was special.
CM Punk was always our guy. And when I say our, I mean like your hardcore wrestling fans. When he popped up, it was like the Messiah coming back to the movement. And, you know, I wrote in the column that it also was like, you know, with the pipe bomb, this is like the natural road where we hoped everything would go to. And it's like this land has popped up that is written on his prophecy, essentially. And then he returns and he's this hero. As James mentioned, like, he has an essential role of why this podcast even exists. I don't know if I want to get into covering wrestling, like, if not for CM Punk. He was, you know, someone that, like, in like looking back on his WWE career, wrote also on my column, was like John Cena versus The Rock was getting booked twice, no matter what. And it felt like CM Punk was our guy to make them live in the moment. And also, the thing that became his story was like, we want to not necessarily fuck up the plans for WWE, but it's like, listen, this guy's doing everything that you say that you want someone to do, like to become a star and be at that top level, but he's being denied for whatever reason. And, you know, everyone, you know, they chose, you know, their paths and everything like that. But like CM Punk was like he was the reason to watch WWE for a lot of that time. No matter whether it was a promo while he was injured, like carrying the company, like cutting promos each week, you know, just tons of great matches on Raw, the pay-per-views and otherwise. And while kind of being, you know, never quite positioned as that number one guy. And his story became like, yo, we want to see him actually be number one. And it almost drove him insane. And I'm glad he's back. He's got tons of opponents. He's got tons of fans everywhere happy. And I think that he's got a lot to prove, not only to himself, but he's going to prove he's got a lot of doubters. Like there are also a large, you know, group of people that don't like CM Punk. And I think he's going to shut them up, quite frankly. And I can't wait for it to all get started. Like, that night was absolutely legendary. Like, when he came out, I was just kind of watching at first, right? Just in awe, and then he does a stage dive and I let out a huge fuck yeah. And then like in the promo, like I start crying, just like, I was just so happy to see him, like, and because he, like, I remember when he quit WWE before, it was just like, he was the anchor. And then luckily Daniel Bryan was there too. And we all loved him as well or whatever. But now it's like, holy shit, like all fresh new opponents, all fresh new landscape. He could be number one. Like, you know, like nothing's out of the, you know, out of reach. We saw them do great business Friday night with it. Great business for the United Center. You got to think their pay-per-view record is going to be set when it comes to that. And I think he's like, it's a bad day for those that have blamed the have blamed the fans for how the fans have reacted to WWE and said like CM Punk's like this master manipulator of all these people and all that. It's like, yo, like Tom said, like it's a delineation gonna be going on, and like the further that I think each side digs in their heels, and this goes from the new philosophy in NXT, which is really the old philosophy, which is really what they always want to do, because think about it, WWE already has great athletes, like they already have tall people, they already have like fit women and stuff like that, and then AEW is like further boxing themselves into, hey, we're going to be pro wrestling, like CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, and then possibly it looks like Adam Cole may be on the way in. So it's like there's going to be matches, there's going to be promos, there's going to be stories, and there's going to be a crowd that's ready to receive them and make it viable. Whether, you know, and it doesn't even have to challenge for the quote unquote number one spot, because they're going to exist in like different, like you're going to see like two different reactions, and I think you did this weekend between Friday and Saturday.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's interesting to see that. I think of three people. I think of, four people really: John Moxley, Tony Schiavone, CM Punk, and Bryan Danielson. All of them in AEW as of right now, or potentially going to AEW in Danielson's case. But WCW and WWE for Danielson, Moxley, and Punk killed the love of the business for these guys. And it was another company, in this case AEW, bringing that love back of pro wrestling. Tony Schiavone, CM Punk, if you would have talked to them prior to coming to AEW, they sound completely jaded. They were done with the wrestling business. They didn't want anything to do with it. And slowly, obviously, with Conrad's podcast, Tony realized that there were a lot of people who still cared about him, who cared about his work, who wanted to see him back. And he got that WCW taste out of his mouth. And the same thing with CM Punk. Over the last 2 years, he saw the proof of concept with AEW. He realized that this wasn't Jacksonville Dixie, as Randy Orton called him. This wasn't a guy who was trying to run WWE light. He was really about professional wrestling. He was serious. He is serious. And that renewed his interest. And so I think it's a lot of really good things going on right now. I think it's really interesting that the sports entertainment, and of course, the sports entertainment company will kill your interest in pro wrestling because they don't do pro wrestling. And like I said, I think we'll wind up talking about that a little bit more when we start talking about SummerSlam and some of the events that happened during the weekend. But like I said, the CM Punk return for me personally, really drove home the fact that there's pro wrestling and there's sports entertainment. As silly as it sounds, as much as I snickered and laughed at it for the last 30 years, it's true. That's where we are right now.
I think I read some earlier. It was like, it's interesting that he's come back as like the network era is kind of like collapsed. So to say, like, you know, like the whole WWE network kind of lasted like 7 years, and Punk missed all of that, and then he's back in the company, but it's like a pay-per-view
as they've moved over to Peacock. Yeah, okay, yeah, I get you.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, but
and that was one of the main things that he was talking about when the network errors came about.
Payouts.
How are we going to get paid? Yeah, exactly. And WWE never really had an answer for him, and that contributed in part, I don't know to what part, but that contributed to him leaving as well, where it's like, okay, well, we're doing these network shows, what's my cut? And they're like, oh, well, you know, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, man. I bet, like, I haven't listened to it in a while, but I think I'm at some point, like this week, I'm going to listen to his interview with Colt Cabana, just to see like everything, you know, how it kind of played out. People say let it play out, right? But I got a feeling it's gonna just sound like the grandfather of all the your random Talk Is Jericho interviews that, you know, people have blasted this thing on, and it's gonna sound like it's like people have been telling us for years and years and years, and then, you know, here we are.
You know, Jericho's hiding backstage, just waiting for his chance to ask Punk to come on his podcast.
There's no way in fuck CM Punk is gonna go on there.
No, he's not doing it. The first time Jericho tried, hey man, what's going on? You know, just it's like, no, fuck off. That's what CM Punk was pretty much the first time. But I'm wondering if Jericho can try and work an angle, or if Tony Khan has to come in and say, hey man, now that we're all one company, it would kind of be cool to go on Jericho's pod. I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see if CM Punk gets on the radio with Chris Jericho.
What do you guys want to see Punk face?
Oh God,
we already got Darby Allin like lined up. I'm sure that's going to be incredible, and just, you know, I'll add that to my Darby file.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, as far as who he faces, I do not. And here's one of the things that I've been, you know, kind of a stickler about for, I guess, the last 10 years or so. I am not interested in seeing people verse or fight or wrestle, rather, the same people that they did in other companies. I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in Punk and Cody Rhodes, Punk and Moxley, Punk and Jericho. We've done all that. We can go to the network, $2.99 or whatever the fuck the price is right now, and go watch that. But I want to see Darby Allin. I want to see Jungle Boy. I want to see just this whole talent. He said he wants to work with them. I want to see it. I want to see a new chapter. Obviously, Kenny Omega, the Forbidden Door is open. Kenta, we have to see Kenta and Punk. We have to see Punk and Omega. We have to see Punk and Darby Allin, which we're going to see it in September at All Out. And so there's just so many matches. Punk has stated in interviews and he stated in his promo, and he just comes off as the guy who doesn't seem as though he's interested in treading water or doing what he's done before. He wants to refine his love in pro wrestling, and the only way to do that is by venturing out, having new opponents, new matches, different stipulations, and really proving himself. He has to prove himself to the roster. He has to prove himself to the fans, because as much as some people don't want to talk about it, this guy towards the end of his WWE run wasn't pulling in 5-star matches. He was phoning it in. He was hurt. He was doing what he could do. It's been 7 years. He's done some run-ins on indies and things like that, and, masked or whatever, but now he's wrestling full matches, and he's wrestling guys that are in their prime. Jungle Boy, MJF, Darby Allin. These guys are not 40, 50 years old thinking about hanging it up. These guys are ready. They're here. They are not injured. CM Punk has to deliver, and I think he wants to. He's excited. I'm excited. It's all in. I'm all in.
I'm gonna break your rule. I want to see him and Bryan get that big match that they.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, first one, the matches that I want to see them, or programs I want to see him the most with. Number one, Moxley, and then in some other form of fashion, Omega, Malachi Black, Danielson, of course. Hangman once Hangman becomes champion, or at some point, like I'm saying that should be a championship program. Like maybe it's after Hangman's champion, and in like a year and a half now, Hangman's champion, he's already not champion again. Like once he's been elevated to main event status, I want to see him and Punk go. Pac, obviously the rest of Death Triangle. There's a lot of stuff for him to do. There's years worth of stuff for him to do. MJF, oh my God, I forgot MJF. MJF, like that's gonna be one of the more important things that Punk needs to get done is like the interaction and elevation and where MJF comes at the back end of a CM Punk feud after they do it. So yeah, there's years worth of stuff. As far as my question is this, like given the lay of the land and seeing how a lot of the established upper card veterans have came in and have picked a young Ward, much like Batman and Robin, with Jungle Boy being the Robin to, at least for now, to Christian. You have Sting and Darby. Who would y'all like to see as somebody on the card, someone in AEW that you would like to almost take up like an apprenticeship or be the understudy for CM Punk?
That's a tough one. I'm pulling up the roster page now just so I don't forget anybody.
I just thought about it, so I don't have an actual choice for this either. It just came to mind though.
Yeah, and when you say understudy, can you define that just a little more?
Basically, okay, so we kind of have in AEW like a under 30 class of wrestlers that are like somewhere they're not main eventers. Let's say mid card and up. So there's Jungle Boy. There's MJF. MJF did his understudy thing and got done with it real quick with Cody. Darby Sting, Jungle Boy, and Christian. It is I guess you could say kind of like Lee Johnson and Cody as well, with the Nightmare Fatima thing, or you could say Dustin. And actually, it's more Dustin than Cody for Lee Johnson. Like, is there anybody that you think he should, if they were to actually get into this along the way? I'm not saying all immediately, but like maybe possible tag partner in 2 years from now, that sort of thing, maybe. Or is that person even on the scene yet?
Give him top flight. Like, I'm looking at it, like between Dante Martin and whenever his brother comes back.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
They're all from the Midwest. They're all from the Midwest.
Yeah, they all like deep dish pizza, I'm sure. But when it comes to CM Punk, I think that as right now, as you said, James, as of right now, he should definitely be alone. He's a island to himself. He's a special attraction. Let him do that. As time comes along, or rather as time moves forward, he should definitely give his rub to someone like a Dante Martin. I would love to see that. The guy, Dante, has all the skills in the world. His brother, when they're together, great tag team. So getting the cosign of someone like CM Punk for trios match, for a pay-per-view, Fyter Fest, or a special Dynamite or Rampage or whatever it may be, I think that would be great. I think that even just you don't even need a long build-up or anything. You just need that one backstage promo of saying, hey, listen, I'm the best in the world, but I think you guys are the best tag team in the world. Go out there and do what I think you can do. I know, whoever, the Acclaimed, if they get back on TV, or whomever is out there and they have so-and-so with them, don't worry, I'm going to be in your corner, make sure everything goes right, and you go from there. So I think that the cosign is ready. I think the talent is ready for the cosign. It's going to be peanut butter and jelly when it happens. So I'm looking forward to it. As far as who that person is, as of right now, is not obvious to me. And that's kind of great because a lot of the undercard talent doesn't need CM Punk to co-sign him. Dante Martin doesn't need that co-sign. Jungle Boy doesn't need that co-sign. MJF, Darby Allin, Varsity Blondes. We can even go with the Wingmen. We can go with anyone that AEW is developing right now or that's in the undercard. And Tony Khan has done such a good job that if CM Punk co-signs, great, fantastic, but they don't need it. So it will be very interesting to see who he starts gravitating towards in his tenure.
I do want to see him, have a match one week with Frankie Kazarian just to see, like, hey, Punk, you want to work? Like, we gonna go in there and work hard.
Oh yeah, no, Frankie Kazarian will treat that like a WrestleMania main event, even if Punk is like, hey man, gotta soften up, brother. He tries to pull a Hulk Hogan, and Frankie Kazarian is like, "Oh hell no, man! This is WrestleMania for me. We're going all out."
But yeah, I think that's really it. We should, in the interest of time, jump to SummerSlam and all that. Like
Nipsey Hussle. There's a kinship between hoopers and rappers. From 30 for 30 Podcasts and The Undefeated, this is the King of Crenshaw.
Hustle and motivate. I mean, if that ain't like the ethos of being an elite athlete, I don't know what is.
Nip was my superhero.
For us, it was all about how we could better our city.
Life is really a marathon.
Listen now, wherever you get your podcasts.
Man, good God. This show, so up and down, so just like roll your eyes at lots of things.
I blame it on James.
What did James do?
Pardon? What did James do?
You watched it, man.
Wait, I'm the kiss of death for wrestling, because that's not really the problem for like Stardom or AEW or New Japan when I watch it, or NXT.
No, Vince knew you were watching. He said, "All right, let me do how James likes it."
Oh man. But yeah, I'm gonna pull up the card, man. Yeah, just overall, it was just, oh man, it really illustrated that it's like the movie Life. They just can't get right.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing, or more specifically, like Vince doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. It was all over the place. Like if not for Edge and Roman Reigns and John Cena and it would just be a mess. And also Seth Rollins. Like if not for like the last third of both of their matches, this would have been a worst show of the year contender. As far as like the twists and turns and it's like being failure and being waste of time and just stupid stuff on a card, especially on a card that big with that kind of attendance, just to like gut punch people left and right and just leave people sitting on their hands for almost a damn hour. It's just amazing.
4.86 rating on Cage Match for the total card.
That has to be the lowest rated SummerSlam ever.
That is like flirting with the worst SummerSlam ever. Like I would have to like look at additional events.
And just to make sure for those that aren't familiar with Cage High, 4.8 out of 10.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, man. It's a bad show. Any way you slice it. Like
I wouldn't say it's a bad show. I would say it is a decent show, and then like I think that the last two big matches like brought it to from like get the fuck out of here to respect some bit of respectability. So I wouldn't outright write it off, but if you were, I feel your pain. I just trying to be objective. I just can't get too furious about what they did to Becky Lynch and Bianca, because that's a fucking disaster.
Yeah. So I guess we can take it right from the top and we'll go down. Roman Reigns and John Cena. Roman Reigns defends the Universal title, defends successfully against John Cena. Of course, Roman Reigns put his career on the line in like the 23rd hour and disappeared from the news cycle probably 5 minutes later when CM Punk came out. So I'm not aware of how many people actually knew his career was on the line at that point. But for me, this match was like a worse version of their last match. Like it felt like all the same, like the 4 big kickouts and then Reigns gets them out of here.
I thought this was way better than their match. Like that first match was like all the same stuff except like the first third of the match. Like John Cena was running out the ring and goofing off with the crowd instead of just actually like focusing on the task at hand, if you will. So from that perspective, from what I remember of it, I like this match a lot more. I also think that the closing stretch of this match was way better than the closing stretch of the last match. But they do have similarities. I do agree. Like they've had 2 matches in the first like third or half of both of them, they have decided to either wrestle at a subpar, boring, slow pace, or just like goof around. So I agree on that part. Like neither one of these are classics, but I enjoyed this match a lot more than I remember enjoying that No Mercy match.
Yeah, this match kind of reminded me of Rock and Cena too, where at some point obviously it's a big match, obviously it's a big fight feel, but at some point in time during that match, you say, okay, guys, is this all you have to offer? Yeah. And then you realize, oh yeah, this is all they have to offer. And I think that's where John Cena and Roman Reigns and just the big WCW, what year is this? WWE style main event match comes down to. And that's what they did. It worked for that crowd. Is it an all-timer for me? No. Did it work in the moment? Yes. Is it something I'm going to revisit for historical purposes? Perhaps. For entertainment purposes? No. So I don't know where I stand on that. I see that what they were trying to do. It looks as though they're trying to now do Lesnar and Reigns again. They had a lot of matches The only good match they had was at WrestleMania, I believe. I want to say 31.
Yep.
I may be incorrect on that number. Yeah,
you're right.
So
it's 31.
Yep. And we'll see what a collecting his paycheck in the sports entertainment era Brock Lesnar is, and Roman Reigns, potentially working in Saudi Arabia to collect a check in 100-degree weather. We'll see what that match is going to be.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if Reigns actually goes to Saudi Arabia, because he was on that no Saudi Arabia list for a while. I feel like this was set up for Saudi Arabia because it's right around the corner. They did the big commercial in the beginning. I'm just here to tell y'all that this Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match is the same dynamic it always was. Roman Reigns being booed out of the building while getting mauled by Brock Lesnar. I promise you, it will start feeling very familiar. Except Heyman standing on the other side of the ring now. So there could be people interested in this. Don't count me among them. Brock Lesnar looks absolutely ridiculous coming out here in these bootcut jeans with this joint on top of his head with the whatever. But I don't know, man.
And those were Dave Matthews Band, Old Navy, 1920s New York construction worker bootcut jeans. He looked absolutely ridiculous. But he can kick my ass, so you go ahead.
Yeah, Brock will wear what he wants. So.
Yeah, he can do. When you look like that, you can do whatever you want. Ponytail, bootcut jeans, Prince heels. He had the heels with 3 inches. You can do whatever you want when you look like him. You go ahead, Brock.
Babyface Brock Lesnar. Man, It's come to this.
Look, man, we haven't had babyface Brock Lesnar since when he was facing Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31. So, when he said he goes on ESPN with Michelle Beadle and says that, I've re-signed, and we were like, well, that means he might keep the title. And he comes in there, and then that's the start of Suplex City. But, as far as, actually being a real, actually designed babyface off the rip, I mean, I don't know. Those matches have to be structured different. He can't just come in just fucking mollywop people with suplexes and standing around as a babyface. He has to, get some sympathy on him. And you can do it with Roman, but, what happens after when it's someone that's not Roman? How Seth Rollins getting heat on Brock Lesnar sounds fucking absurd.
And that's kind of the problem there, that Roman Reigns, the moment he's paired with Brock Lesnar, people already boo him and they want to see him get his ass kicked. And that was kind of one of the great things about WrestleMania 31, which turned the crowd to favor Roman Reigns, because he was in there getting his ass kicked.
Yeah.
And people said, okay, this guy's taking a beating. All right, man, come back. We want to see it. All right, yeah, you're part of the Shield. You did everything before. Okay, we're rallying for you. But now, after he's been doing community theater for the last few months with his, cousins, and now Brock's coming back and he's ready to kick his ass. And I don't think a lot of people, want to see that of, okay, Roman, we want to see you fight back. More people are like, okay, well, hey, I don't want to see the detective mystery dinner theater anymore. Let's, move on. And, I think that Brock is weird. The whole Roman Reigns situation is weird. I don't want to go off on conspiracy theories on the One Nation Radio. But a lot of people think that this was up. Okay, this is the place for it. Okay, we're not getting vaxxed here on One Nation Radio.
Pull your vaccines out.
we're airing out the vaccines. We're doing everything here on One Nation Radio. But I think that this kind of goes into a bigger discussion of Vince allowed Triple H to have NXT and create NXT in his vision. And Vince always saw it as developmental. Triple H saw it as a potential brand. And he wanted to use it to stomp out competition. How does this fit into Roman Reigns? Roman Reigns is a Triple H guy from FCW, from NXT. He pushed him up. Vince might have had some, different takes on that for whatever it may have been. And that's why over the years, we've seen these stop and start pushes. We've seen these coronations where you say, okay, well, this is his backlit moment. Okay, this is his Iron Sheik moment. Okay, this is his, Austin beating Shawn Michaels moment at WrestleMania 14. And that never really happened. These moments happened, but the crowd was never with it for a variety of reasons, and it mainly came down to the booking. A lot of this is self-sabotage, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. That's what Roman Reigns has to deal with. That's what a lot of the people on the WWE roster has to deal with. That's what NXT has to deal with. And a lot of people have been fired because of this and obviously other reasons. But we'll see this arrested in the card, especially in a certain women's match. I'll let you guys continue.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Brock and Roman. Feel the excitement.
It's weird. And, like, now I just believe that, like, it's Roman's going to win because, like, how they say in Vegas, the house wins. Like, in WWE, Vince McMahon's WWE, the last, like, 4 or 5 years, 6 years, like, the heel wins. Like, it's not about ever getting heat for a, like, gigantic big payoff. It's always like, even if there are victories here and there, it's always a means to get back to heat. So.
And they're still bringing Brock into it just illuminates their lack of anyone that's a babyface that can really challenge Roman Reigns because he's been that OP. So WWE title match, Bobby Lashley against Goldberg, and boy, this stunk. Put this in a pack, light it on fire. Goldberg, for some reason, they decided we wanted to see Goldberg selling today, and his son, Bobby Lashley, beating a white child on global TV. Never thought I'd see everyone cheer for that, but they did. They did a ref stoppage on this match, so apparently Goldberg couldn't even be pinned by Lashley. This was weak all the way around. Goldberg, when he was picking Lashley up, his legs were shaking like he was like Muhammad Ali. Like, it was bad. Like, he looked like I don't know what Goldberg offers at this point, except, showing up on Raw and a couple, extra, the quarters go up just a little bit. But when it comes to the matches, it's been consistently bad for anytime after WrestleMania 33. Like, it's been that bad. He's pretty much just rolling out here, and it's just, except for the Fiend. Like, I love when he killed the Fiend because it was fucking funny, although another dumb decision that pissed a bunch of people off. But it's unfortunate for Bobby Lashley. Felt bad for him. Brock Lesnar sitting backstage. He couldn't get Brock. People didn't want to see Lesnar and Lashley. I think that would have gone a little bit better. That might have saved the show.
At this point, we have to admit Lesnar clearly doesn't want to face Lashley. Clearly. This isn't a WWE call. Bobby Lashley has said that he wanted to face him. Brock Lesnar, for whatever reason, doesn't want to face Bobby Lashley. And I think that at the end of the day, what it comes down to is Brock wants to do his Suplex City bullshit, and Lashley's going to actually wrestle him. And if Brock tries to do anything that Lashley doesn't want to do, Lashley will outpower him legit and force him into a match that he doesn't want to be in. That is the match that people want to see. WWE keeps avoiding it for reasons, which I think just really comes down to Lesnar. As far as this match is concerned, Lesnar, as you mentioned, Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania 33, that's how you do that's how you do a Bill Goldberg match in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. That's how you do it. Less than 6 minutes, get in and out, you hit all the big stuff, and you leave. This match was a little over 7 minutes. They try to be cute. Goldberg has a knee injury, blah, 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 community theater. And that's the problem right there. These are two big, badass guys. Let them go in and do badass things for less than 6 minutes. Let them hit their big spots. Lashley should win clean. Why is Lashley only coming out the victor because Goldberg hurt his knee in 2021?
Man,
what does that do for Bobby Lashley? What does that do for WWE? What does that do for the future of the company? What does that do for someone like a Matt Riddle or a Ricochet or whomever that may beat Bobby Lashley in the future? I can understand using Goldberg as an attraction, but it's okay for him to lose because come Monday, or, you know, I'm not sure who's on what brand, but come Monday, Bobby Lashley has to go to work. Goldberg doesn't. It is okay to beat Goldberg. Trust me. If you decide to run a Goldberg match in December, no one's going to say, oh, hey, I don't want to see Goldberg versus Bobby Roode because he lost to Lashley. No, people still want to see Goldberg come in, do a 2-minute squash, and that's what it is. This was a bad call.
I think they did this because they probably felt like they've been beating Goldberg too much lately.
So they beat him without pinning him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
and if that's the case,
that's a worse beating.
Exactly.
The fuck? You didn't get pinned. You didn't get your shoulders pinned to the mat for 3 seconds. Oh no. The ref had to stop it because you could not continue because the person beat you up so bad. What? That's fucking stupid.
Yeah, we saw how over that got between Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman in Hell in a Cell.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Seth Rollins and
Seth Rollins and The Fiend. We saw that as well. And that was back-to-back years.
Yeah.
That was back-to-back. What was that, 2018 and 2019?
18 and 19, yeah.
Both main events, Hell in a Cell. We saw how over that got both of all four of those men and the crowd reaction. Why do this? Brock Lesnar, Bill Goldberg, he can take an L and it's going to be okay. It's not going to affect his merchandise, his drawing ability, or anything else. Because if for some reason you want to build him back up, there's enough Dolph Zigglers and Robert Roodes and whomever on the roster, Karrion Kross on the roster that he can run through before building him up to face John Cena or whomever you want to have him face come Survivor Series.
Yeah.
And he should definitely run through Karrion Kross about 5 times.
Yeah, but then again, like you said, this is a sports entertainment company promotion, not a pro wrestling promotion. So they thought this was doing something. I don't know who told them that they should have Goldberg in 2021 go, what was it, 7 minutes?
Yeah,
it's
like a little over 7 minutes. Mm-hmm.
That man should be wrestling. That man should be wrestling matches under Super Hazuki's rules. Can't be fat. must have a 6-pack or it is useless. And instead of a 10-minute time limit, it should be 5. There should be no point to where we were in Japan, we would get a 5-minute call during the Goldberg match. For who? For what?
I thought you were going to say under the Hogan Beach Shop rules. No do-rags, no baggy pants.
That's just a dress code to keep black people out. I don't know. That's not some Hulk Hogan specific thing. That's everywhere.
Yeah.
So we had Edge and Seth Rollins. So Edge comes out, the Brood stuff popped. I liked it.
Got a question.
Yeah.
Was the Brood music a top 5 moment of SummerSlam this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Says a lot.
That's why I'm getting at.
But yeah, Edge and Seth Rollins better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a 3.25, 3-star deal. For me, it's kind of knocking on the door 4 stars, not that much, not quite, maybe 3.75.
That's where I'm at, 3.
And it was very slow to begin with, and we were calling what they were doing because Edge, they like to make Edge go long. Played the back injury thing into it a little bit, laid around, And then at the end of the match, it got better. Like they picked it up a little bit after the Falcon Arrow.
A typical Seth Rollins match. Yep.
And Edge ended up getting the win. Not something I would have done, but I guess when you're paying Edge $3 million, got to give him a win somewhere.
Yeah, Seth Rollins usually goes long. Edge usually goes long. This is the Triple H match of SummerSlam 2021. This was the second longest match on the card, going over 20 minutes. It was what it was. It was a lot of things that WWE fans wanted to see. It wasn't my cup of tea. I really enjoyed the Brood entrance. The music always bumped. The entrance through the fire was pretty good. I wish he would have kept that throughout, just going to the ring and then really selling it as, hey, he's tapping into something that he was 20 years ago. He had to go back. He had to talk to Gangrel, whatever the fuck. But then, of course, as he gets to the middle of the ring, he has to do his pyro and gimmick and music, and it got lame for me. A lot of people loved it, but for me, I said, let's just keep the Brood thing going.
Same.
It was what it was. Am I going to watch this a year from now? No. Am I going to remember this 5 years from now? No. I'm probably the worst person to talk about this match because I'm not an Edge fan. I never wanted to see Edge come back. When he retired, I said, good. I wasn't crying or cheering, let's go Edge or anything. I said, good, leave. No, stop your speech and leave. Oh, but I want to thank the fan. No, leave. I don't want to see you. And,
God damn, what did Edge do to you?
Well, he bored me. That's what he did to me. So
I want to thank the fans. No gratitude. Yeah. Fuck off.
Yeah, no gratitude. Don't say thank you. Leave. You leaving is the biggest thank you can give everyone. But again, I recognize that Edge isn't for me. He's for other people, and that's fine. Seth Rollins, I've been very low on for a very long time.
How long?
Oh, shit. When did the Triple H Seth Rollins match happen at WrestleMania? Was that
2017?
2017. All right, so let's go 2016, perhaps?
So when he came back off of tearing his ACL.
Yes.
So, okay. So, Tom, I don't know how often you listen to our show.
We just making up here on One Nation Radio.
We have been saying for a long time that there's a line of delineation in Seth Rollins' career, and it's when he tore his ACL and he came back and he started doing less, and then he was, he was trying to do the redemption arc thing, and ultimately it never worked until they ended up putting him and Ambrose back together in 2017. So, like, I think at this point now we're at 3 stages of his career now. We are at the Shield through the beginning when he's a champion. He tears ACL in 2015, and he comes back 2016, and then from 2016 until let's say the Ambrose feud,
okay,
in 2018, or let's do this. The WrestleMania 34 after the Gauntlet. After the Gauntlet. Like, so you have the Gauntlet Seth and the babyface run, and then you have... So actually, no. So it is actually really the Shield run, then he tears ACL, that's another chapter. So and then the chapter that we are at now is like once he got in the Hell in a Cell with The Fiend. That's actually really what it is. Like, because while that Ambrose thing sucked and everything, and Mossy leaves, and he says all the stuff and hurts his goodwill by talking about food off the table and all that other nonsense. That worst match of the year, winner or contender or whatever you want to call it, with the Fiend or whatever else, where they having fucking ref stoppage in Hell in a Cell, is like the clear line where it's like, this is a whole new brand new bag, and like it's hard to look at him ever the same. But in the ring, like, he was already not one of the best, one of the elite workers in the world. He's one of the best workers in the world, as opposed to like flat out elite, like you say off your top of your head. Like, you can't, over a half decade ago, like, you can't say there are 20 guys better than him. You can absolutely say that after 2000, after he came back. And then, like, now it's like, shit, is he a top 8 worker in Stardom? I think my money is, I don't think he's a top 10 worker in Stardom.
Yeah, I think for me, what it really came down to for Seth Rollins is that he didn't adapt to his injury. And what I mean by that is, you look at the match with at WrestleMania 33 against Triple H, and he hurts his knee. He has a hurt knee. So you would think that a guy that has a hurt knee or working on that injury or whatever it may be would start doing more forearm strikes or clipping at the knee at the other guy or whatever it may be. But he wrestles the same match. And for me, when it comes to match quality for Seth Rollins, that was the problem, where the moment the bell rang, any character work automatically went out the window, and anything relating to selling, even if it was, hey, you're selling this knee injury that you've been out for 8 months or whatever the hell, Triple H took a sledgehammer to your knee, you've been on crutches for the last 2 weeks, he's still doing Phoenix splashes and diving over the top rope, and even while he's holding his knee. And so when you incorporate that and the bad promos and the booking, just a lot of stuff that didn't favor him, and then, like you said, leading all the way up to the Fiend, and then, of course, Seth didn't help himself on Twitter when he's being an E-drone and standing for the Fed. You factor all that in, and it's just a really bad look. But for me, it really came down to I like guys that when they're injured in a match, they start working differently. And when I see a guy who's trying to get sympathy for his knee, hey guys, my knee's hurt, and the crowd's trying to rally behind him. Come on, Seth, yeah, you can do it. But he's diving over the top rope anyways, as if he didn't hurt his knee. You might as well just stop selling the knee at that point. There's no reason for that story because there's no meat to it. So it was just a lot of things like that started getting me off the Seth wagon.
My problem wasn't that he would just stop selling. It was that how he picked and chose when and where to sell. Like he would do, he would dive, then grab his knee, and then he jump and land, and then start running, and then do another dive, and then grab his knee, and it was like. Yes. That's not how knees work, bro. Like, it'd be one thing if he was like falling off, if he kept doing dives, or like dives, like, let me phrase when I say dives. I mean, like, dives where he's jumping over or doing runnings, topes through the ropes, or dives over the top rope or whatever else. Like, it's one thing that, like, you got a bad knee, so like you let gravity handle you fall off the top rope or whatever. That's one thing. He is literally like running, jumping, diving, and then grabbed his knee, and then like 90 seconds or less than 90 seconds later, he's doing the same thing again. It's like, that is not how that's not how joints work. Exactly. It's not. So yeah, I'm with you. And another part that bothered me, and I was saying is like, while watching that WrestleMania 33 match, is like, he is the architect and he's this genius, whatever else, but like, he never, you know how it is, you watch a match where someone's selling or two people are selling, and like they have to go down the list of all the things they have in their tool bag because this club I can't use this club no more. It'll hurt too much. Exactly. Or I have to get super desperate to ever want to go to that club because it'll hurt so much, right? Like, you have bruised ribs, you hit a frog splash, you can't make the cover because your ribs hurt too much, and you get a big near fall out of it. Like, stuff simple like that. Like, that level of desperation. Like, he never went through all that stuff of like, all right, well, I have a bad right arm, so I can't throw punch right arm, so I gotta start throwing punch with my left arm, or stuff like that. Like, it was always just, oh, he's hurt again, like it's a trick knee. And exactly, it's like, that's just, it was always just grating on me. But
yeah, and I think again, if you're,
man.
No, exactly, he did. And I think that if you're gonna tell that story, tell it, see it through, smarten up to it. But again, Seth Rollins is the architect. That's Little Richard. So I don't like Seth Rollins for stealing that name either.
Yeah, but overall, Edge gets the win. Don't know where he's going from here, but
he needed that
Taco Bell.
And wow. And I thought it was at the very end. Like, I thought it ended up getting there, like at the end, like that. like you said, like that Falcon Arrow is where it took off. Like Seth Rollins match, like the last 4 years have all like been based around that, or 3 years. It's just like nothing really matters until the Falcon Arrow off top rope.
Best match on the show.
Yeah, easily.
Charlotte wins it back. She defeats Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley. I saw a tweet that said Nikki ASH can begin her career-long excursion on Main Event now.
Damn.
That ain't gonna happen. I'm watching Raw right now. She's about to be the women's tag team champions with Rhea in like a couple months. Watch.
Yeah. This was okay. I didn't think it was anything too special. But Charlotte gets it back. It seems like they deducted those NXT reigns and then added them back over the last month. So that was, this little feud was designed to do that. Big boos for Nikki ASH. What I was hearing is a little loud at our party, but yeah. It's back on Charlotte.
Yep.
It never excites you. It just happens. It's inevitable.
Good match. Just good, flatly good. Had some nice moments, and once they cleared, like, it was like a starter match. Like, once that pin eater that you know is a pin eater, like, clears the ring, like, they got Rhea out of there, and you were like, you already know what time it is. And sure enough, time to tap out.
Just tap out.
Yeah, what's that? Just tap out. So GTO. So Nikki GTO. Just tap out.
Nikki got.
Yeah, she got. I mean, here's the thing. There's various ways to do the superhero gimmick or to do the babyface underdog gimmick. Whatever she's doing right now isn't getting over because it's corny.
Right.
The first week, the first 2 weeks, hey, yeah, cool, okay, yeah, sure. But when you have the, oh, jeez, oh, guys, you know, I'm out here trying. When that's the gimmick, people say, okay, well, I don't like Manny Pacquiao because he goes out and tries. I like him because he wins. I don't like Floyd Mayweather because he tries, or Sweet Pea Whitaker, or John Jones, or George St. Pierre. Sure, everybody tries. Everyone. But there's winners and there's losers. And if you're at the end of the day, if your gimmick is, oh, well, rolling your shoulders and saying, oh, shucks, and throwing your hands in your pockets and say, I'll get them next time, guys. That's not going to get you fans. That's going to be people saying, okay, you can't get the job done. Why the fuck are you in the world title scene then? Go, oh, shucks, and kick the dirt and put your hands in your pocket on Main Event. Which it sounds as though, as you said, she might do an excursion to Main Event. It's not over. I'm glad she was able to see her creative vision, and her husband is happy, and everyone's living a dream. But there's living a dream, and then there's making money. And from Vince McMahon's standpoint, this isn't really going to make him money. I'm glad her and her husband are living their dream and having fun and whatever the fuck. The audience isn't having fun. And what I'm starting to see happen, and what we can hear on the screen, or excuse me, not on the screen, but in the audio of the fans, they're turning on it. And even someone had a sign that said, not my superhero. And of course, what do the toxic people on social media do? They blast the fan. Oh, this guy's clearly a virgin. Oh, he clearly has nothing going on in his life. They attack the fan instead of realizing, guys, this person's not into the gimmick. This is a gimmick. This has failed. Unless there is something miraculous coming, and I will eat my hat if that is. But as of right now, this is not going to get her over. People are not laughing with her. They're laughing at her. This is going to get worse. Again, you put Nikki ASH in a feud with Becky. You put her in, and we're going to get to that. You put her in a feud with Bianca, a feud with Asuka, or whomever it may be, outside of Charlotte, outside of Ripley, who's pretty cold right now. it spells disaster. So
couldn't say it better myself.
Yeah, I mean, this match was what it was. It was a predictable outcome. This is all about the moments. Charlotte's entire career is based on title wins and getting to the number 16. And now we're at number 12. I think once they retcon the NXT titles or whatever it may be, I believe we're at 12 now for her wins. And that's it. We don't know any of her reigns. No real big feuds. I mean, obviously there were some good matches here and there, and there's people that we can pick out through her career as great workers. But she's winning and losing the title like it's hot potato, and it doesn't really mean anything. And she won it from somebody who was barely over in a match with another person who was pretty cold and barely over as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's rough days in that Raw title scene, looking like going forward. But Drew McIntyre beat Jinder Mahal's ass. Poor Drew McIntyre. We constantly come on the show and say if there's one guy that gives his all as a big match wrestler in WWE, it's fucking Drew McIntyre, and they gave him Jinder Mahal in under 5 minutes on SummerSlam. That was a fucking choice. And also people weren't into it because they were shell shocked what happened before that. So, I mean, unless you guys have any McIntyre Mahal, poetic that you like to lay down, I'd like to get to the main event here.
Yeah, there's for me, and I'm sure James might have a soliloquy or something on the Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre match. But as far as me, it was a nothing match. It sucks. I'm ready for the main event. James?
I got nothing.
So Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, we'll go ahead and run this back to last Friday. Had them in the ring for a contract signing. Blah, blah, blah. They're going to get to it. Then we start hearing over the last weekend that unforeseen circumstances have led to them being pulled from the house shows. Immediately, my mind starts racing because, Sasha's out here on the internet, leaving trails, as I'll say, that she, may not necessarily, be in favor of the vaccine and things of that nature. She is pulled from further shows, and we get into the week. Miraculously, there's a report that says Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks is on Saturday, and nothing's gonna stop it, whatever. Then they're not on the show on Friday. I believe Bianca wrestled 2 matches on Friday, beating Carmella and Thea Trinidad.
Zelina Vega.
Okay, yep. And then WWE has promoted this match, and I'm looking forward to it. I really like their WrestleMania match a lot, and I'm like, all right, let's get the second one. Still promoting it. We get to SummerSlam, promoting it all throughout the pre-show, doing all the analysis. We get to the match, and one thing I'm noticing is once we're getting to the match is why is Rick Boogs out here? Why is Shinsuke Nakamura out here? Neither of these gentlemen are booked tonight. And I'm like, well, based on what's left, maybe there's they immediately go into the video package for Sasha and Bianca. I'm like, oh, something fishy's going on. And then this video package is extra long, and it's extra emphasis on, the historic nature and all these awards they did for this and all that. And then I leaned over to buddy. I'm like, I think it was Jeremy. I was like, so if this is just this historic match and it's won all these things, I'm like, well, why is it not main eventing again? Whatever. We won't go there. They bring Bianca out first, I might add. So my ears have further went in the air. She does the longest entrance I think I've ever seen. And then the ring announcer just announces Sasha Banks has not been cleared to compete, and replacing her is Carmella. And I'm like, are you serious? I go on a tirade on Twitter. I think that and we'll remove this from what we'll talk about in just a second, the false advertising, and they knew it 8 days ahead of time that Sasha wasn't going to be ready because they know something, they're not announcing it, and that's fine. They don't have to announce it. However, they can change the match. They can say Bianca's going to have a mystery opponent. They can say a lot of things to protect the protect Sasha, to protect themselves, to give integrity to what they book. But no, they'd rather just come out here and fuck you. This is why I always say WWE doesn't care about you. Don't tie your existence to them. Don't do anything like that because they'll blatantly false advertise and not give a fuck. And all those people that flew out there looking for that match, like 45,000 in the building, they didn't get it. And I thought it sucked as far as this is promotional malpractice. This is a most disgusting promotional tactic nominee, I would think.
Absolutely.
This was just like, and you could see it happening on a broadcast like that. Something fishy was up the whole time because they usually they try to keep these things rolling, but it was like everyone was looking around kind of. And they bring her, Carmella out. Bianca's like, I'll fight you, whatever. And crowd is not with it. Then Becky Lynch's music hits. And you're like, what is Becky doing here? And then it's like, okay, Becky comes out. And then knocks Carmella out. And I'm like, okay, they're going to give us this match on no notice, no build, whatever. Then it's a heel turn, apparently, for Becky Lynch. She pulls Bianca in 10 seconds into the match, punches her in the face, gives her the manhandle slam or the rock bottom, if you prefer, and beats her in about 10 seconds. And I'm just like absolutely baffled at this point. Everyone in the arena is like, what has happened? Some people are popping simply because it's a title change. And it's like, what did they do to Bianca? And this is why I was hesitant to say that she was absolutely made. Because you never know. Because shit like this is always around the corner. And they've, this request from Becky to turn heel, this is like taking Sasha out of the top spot. Whatever. Maybe she should listen to the scientists next time instead of the healing crystals or whatever. But I think that this is promotional malpractice. This is booking malpractice. This is how to kill a babyface. This is 10 times worse than Kofi Kingston because Kofi Kingston was kind of like a gold watch, end of the career kind of, last shot at greatness kind of thing, right? Bianca,
like Chris Daniels winning the Ring of Honor title like a couple years ago,
right? Yeah. Bianca is in the part of her career where it's like, all right, you're still kind of determining what she can be, kind of. And, with the women's wrestlers, sometimes their careers are shorter for whatever reason. They may want to start families. There's a lot of factors at play there. But I feel like Bianca's in a situation where you can't exactly play with her like this. This doesn't make her bigger. This doesn't make us more interested in her. This just makes her look like a fucking geek with what they did to her. Like, she's looking around after the match is over, and it's like, hold on, people are trying to blame it on, like, saying it's a rookie mistake and all this shit. I thought this was the EST, the strongest, the fastest, the smartest, the best. Like, what are y'all doing here? Like, this, I think, was just a reflection of everything that is going on. James, you shared a stat with me. I don't remember it, but it was like a certain amount of time within the show. This altered
I'm
the
saving
show.
it.
Okay, I'll throw it to you then.
No, let Tom get his shit in. Yeah, let Tom get his spots in.
Tom, let me tag you in.
Okay, tagged in, man. I hope it's the NWA tag and not the Lucha tag you gave me. But it's a tag nonetheless. Here's the thing. Again, we see a lot of people online saying, hey, let's give it time. And this is one part of the story. And again, I mentioned this earlier. There's pro wrestling fans and there's WWE fans. And there's people that are watching this who despite the last 10 years, really believe in the company, and they're sitting down and they're watching this and they wonder what's next. And then there's people like you and I and James that are sitting down here and saying, okay, this is it. Because we've watched the patterns. We've seen this with Ziggler. We've seen this with Daniel Bryan. We've seen this with Braun Strowman. The list goes on and on and on of people that are hot, that get over, and then WWE cools them down, and it's usually a flashpoint that we can just point to and say, oh, that's when it happened. Mm-hmm. And I would love to sit here and say, hey, this is just part of the story. This isn't AEW. When Hangman lost his match against the Elite, when Hangman and the Dark Order lost their match against the Elite, the crowd didn't hijack. Yeah, in a great performance. Notice how the crowd did not hijack that show. Notice how the online reception wasn't, oh, AEW sucks, I'm coming after Tony Khan. No, because AEW established a good long rapport with the crowd and with storytelling that people say, hey, you know what? It wasn't the result I wanted, but I understand that this is part of the journey. This is part of the story, and we're rolling with it. WWE is not the same thing. We saw what happened when Becky Lynch beat Bianca Belair, and the crowd booed. Not everyone, obviously. The problem here is that there's so many other things that they could have done aside from what they did. And if for some reason Vince McMahon really wanted Becky Lynch to come in SummerSlam and win the title, this is an Ultimate Warrior versus the Honky Tonk Man. Honky Tonk Man was barely over. He wasn't really a great worker. Warrior was over. Warrior was being positioned as the next guy after Hogan. Sure, he comes in, does his thing, boom, bam, bing, bing, do some business, win the title. It's a SummerSlam moment. It's amazing. This wasn't that. There's so many things that they could have done, and the fact that they chose what they chose is unbelievable, especially after all the things that Bianca Belair, first black woman, her and Sasha Banks main eventing night one of WrestleMania, the rap festival, I can't remember what it's called, some weeks ago,
Rolling Loud,
Rolling Loud, where they put her out there at the Miami Gardens. And just so many other things that they've done with her. I mean, she had pictures with Meg the Stallion. This girl was lifting Adam Cole. That was prior to her WWE reign, obviously, on network TV, doing some news show gimmick. She's been all around. She's a woman that you want to position as the future. And so doing what they did at SummerSlam, and it's not only just beating her, it's about Bianca Belair marking out for Becky Lynch, losing, and then all shucksing and rolling out the ring and saying, oh, hey, and the commentators building up as, oh, hey, this is a rookie, as you said, Rich. Hey, this is a rookie. She made a rookie a rookie. She's the EST. She's the best. She beat Sasha at WrestleMania. Sasha is multi-time Raw, SmackDown, and NXT champion. And as of right now, a Hall of Famer. She's going to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. She's a big star outside of WWE proper. She's been in multiple commercials. She was in The Mandalorian. She was in the Hot Wing Challenge gimmick that's on YouTube. I can't remember what it's called, but it's pretty popular with a lot of people. It's unfortunate. The entire thing is unfortunate because it's one of those things where you don't have to do it. You have 10 options on the table that's going to keep everybody over and keep everyone looking good and the whole 9 yards, and you choose option 11. It doesn't work. And just to pass on to James just real quick, this wasn't the first time that WWE false advertised someone. They did it with Toni Storm for Progress, where all the way up to the night of Progress, oh, hey, Toni Storm can't be here, even though she was in America for Survivor Series, and they knew that, and WWE knew that. Everyone knew that. They didn't announce it into the main event. Charlotte, hey, Charlotte's not here tonight in Charlotte, North Carolina. You already knew that. She was in Mexico. with Andrade for Triple Mania.
Yep, just a week ago.
And they did it here where they said, oh, well, Sasha Banks can't make it. Surprise, surprise. Instead of, guys, this is $1 billion company. Friday, you shoot the angle. If for some reason Sasha can't make it because she doesn't want to get vaccinated or whatever it may be, you say, hey, we're setting the deadline. Saturday at 9 a.m. East Coast time. Are you going to get vaccinated? Yes or no? No? Okay, great. Social media team, post out, hey, Sasha Banks can't make it, whatever the fuck. Bianca Belair has opened a issue challenge or, issued an open challenge. You send a message out to Natalya and Raquel and everybody. Hey, guys, post a video on your social media challenging Sasha Belair. Hey, Stooge, who works at WWE.com, write up an article. Hey, Kyla Braxton or whoever, do, a promo, build it up. And then come the main event, everyone already knows, okay, she's not there. What's going to happen? You don't have to false advertise. This was handled poorly on every single level. This is terrible. I guess, James, go ahead.
On just about every conceivable level, this is the most false. Actually, I take that back. Aside from two notable exceptions in the history of pro wrestling I've ever seen, this is the most blatant, disgusting act of false advertising I've ever seen. The only way it would have been worse if they had brought out Kiera Hogan and said that was fake Sasha, like fake Diesel and fake Razor.
Jim Ross coming out and saying, "Yeah, you want Sasha Banks? We got Sasha Banks."
Yeah, sure. They knew for 8 days. And if they did, and we know that they've known for 8 days. And even if they didn't know for 8 days, if they didn't know till the day of, they had every opportunity to tell people this match was not going to happen. And not only did the match not happen, the match is never going to happen again. You're never going to get Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair on a big show for the top title as a full-on rematch of the first or second best WrestleMania match of the last 5 years. 6 years. Becky's back. From a character perspective, if you want to say, well, let it play out. There's money in Becky and Bianca in a rematch, and obviously there is, but there will be a hell of a lot more money on Becky versus Bianca as a first-time encounter, as Becky is coming back for the title that drove her to what she has become as at worst, the second biggest star in the company, going after the SmackDown Women's title. They immediately bring her in, and she effectively cashed in. And like she basically like screwed somebody. To fans, they will view it as she got political, or the brass, Vince McMahon and whoever else has such a fucking gigantic boner for her that they just basically shoved away something that was hot to the side, just like how what happened to Becky. So now either Bianca is done or she becomes the martyr that people rally around. Given the demographics of this crowd, I'm assuming it is not going to work out to that extent. So you have that. So Rich telling me that Becky has turned heel. It makes sense for if that's the story they're trying to go for she's taking it. She has now become Charlotte. She is now taking a playbook out of Charlotte. Storyline wise, not whatever. Like they're both cool people in real life. So I just think it did a lot of damage potentially to Becky at the box office. I think that it hurts. It damages Bianca. I'm not saying she's done. I'm saying that like it's gonna take a lot of good booking from a company that doesn't do a lot of it to fix this. And it was unnecessary. And I just think it's one of the most destructive acts of booking to one of the very, 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 very few stars Vince McMahon has wanted to push coming out of NXT in the last 5-6 years. So, or not 5-6 years. Let's say 4 years, 3 years. So, really damaging. I was there watching while wearing a Bianca, my old Bianca NXT shirt, and it's funny because like the last two shirts I've bought from WWE were the Bianca shirt and the Io Shirai shirt at the same time. I ordered them, and that was the beginning of 2020. And it's just funny. It is like
the beginning of the end.
That's right before they killed off NXT, before they went into the pandemic, when they started doing One Final Heartbeat. But my whole point is like she was unfuck-upable, and like they're about to fuck her up.
I think in everything that you said, I think the word that stands out to me is unnecessary.
Yep, inflicted damage.
Was all unnecessary. This didn't have to happen. Again, you have 10 options on the table. You choose option 11. Who does that?
No, they chose one of the very worst ones. Like, I'm even saying this 11 because I'm sure they can make it. They could have made it worse. Like, I'm sure, like Becky. I'm sure they could have pissed in Bianca's mouth. But it can always be worse. But they chose one of the worst, most disastrous options they could possibly have picked. And
it's like they blew off. They blew off so much in like one thing.
Yeah,
like
it was a hot shot shock angle.
The return, the title change, the squash. Like those are 3 different stories in themselves.
Like if think about it, if they wanted to turn Becky Lynch heel, they could have built towards the match. They could have brought her out, or had her make the save for Bianca. Say, have respect, get a match build, or whatever else for the next pay-per-view, and then shot the heel turn the heel turn on with Becky Lynch. Then. That's a quote unquote money program of you build anticipation for a month or however long it is the next pay-per-view. You shot the angle to make it hot. You keep the dynamic fresh, and it also gives you a rematch, or actual rematch. And got 2 months worth of TV out of it. Their next match, they're done. There's nothing else to do. They had 3 months worth of storyline and decided, hey, let's get a month out of it.
They also did the same thing, ironically, with Sasha and Bianca. They did Sasha's return, teaming up, and a turn all in one show.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is Rousseauian. Like who's running this?
This is very Rousseauian. A lot of what WWE does now is, instead of creating the moments through stories, they create the moments and they don't worry about the stories. Everything that is done is for video packages or to talk about WrestleMania moments or SummerSlam moments. It's gotten so much to the point where, and I mentioned this last time I was on the podcast, I believe, with you guys, and I mentioned this on my podcast, we've gotten to the point where somebody walking down to the ring is a WrestleMania moment. And it's like, no, this is just someone walking to the ring. Like, what is going on? Why is Ty Conti having a black and white video done of her looking around and sitting in the empty stands of the WrestleMania arena? Oh, wow, she winning a world title tonight? No, she is participant number 12 in the 20-woman battle royal on the pre-show. And it's like, what is going on here? And that's what this Becky Lynch thing was for. This is for a video package. So you can say, hey, remember that SummerSlam moment SummerSlam moments. And that's it. And again, I just think James already summed it up. Unnecessary. That is the word I'm going to use whenever I think of this situation. Unnecessary.
Yeah.
Just unnecessary.
Yeah. So I almost forgot the stat. So thinking about it, watching it, it was like, yo, like this, all of the stalling you had talked about while covering or reviewing this, Rich, was with the Nakamura entrance with Rick Boogs, with the super long video package, with the stalled out entrance from Bianca, and she's the champion, she comes out first, with the ring announcement, with Carmella coming out to be the come down so that Becky can come out and pop and blow the roof off the building, which absolutely did. To the squash, to the Jinder Mahal match that goes for in Drew match, it goes like 4 minutes and 40 seconds, whatever else. Like in a span of 51 minutes and some change, like we got bell to bell action, like 5 minutes and some seconds. And then I mean seconds, I mean like 15 seconds. In 51 minutes in front of the biggest house they're going to draw all year. They had their fans sit down for their biggest gate for a wrestling show of the year and had them watch 5 minutes and change of wrestling in 51 minutes and change. It's fucking embarrassing. And this is happening in Vegas the night of a Pacquiao fight where the people that own both venues that these two events are being held at told Vince they want this show off the fucking air so that fans that have bought tickets to both shows that decided to fly out for the fake fighting and the real fighting to be able to transfer and go up the strip to the next venue. They didn't get off air until 12:08, 12:10 when the walkouts for the match, for the boxing fight started at midnight. Because they wasted damn near an hour. Because they didn't start the show at 7. They started at 8. When they could have started at 7 and not deal with none of this. They could have ran as long as they wanted to. They started at 7. They were at 8.
They also did that Xavier Woods and Miz and Morrison and
with his dripstick and fake Reyes Ramon cosplay. Like, yeah, they did that too.
Yeah, what is all of this? This is unnecessary. Again, it's unnecessary.
You know what it was? You know what it is? And this is what I was talking about last show when I said like how disappointing it was that like SummerSlam is historically my favorite WWE pay-per-view of all time. Mm-hmm. I'm not including Takeover because obviously we Takeover that's not the main roster. But this man book shit. This is my favorite one because it is a big show. They treat it like a big show, and they also get the fuck on and give you wrestling instead of making it into WrestleMania where they have all this other shit that's just a waste of time and just wasteful time. And when like shows has exploded to, instead of going 5 hours, now it's a 2 fucking hour show or 4 hour shows. Yeah. So all of that is the WrestleManiaization of SummerSlam. Thanks for giving us something no one asked for. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No one asked for this. I couldn't imagine sitting in the arena and seeing the Xavier Woods segment and seeing Nakamura randomly make an entrance and say, what is this for? Like, why are we here? Who is this for? What is going on here? Sure, I love Nakamura's entrance if he's actually wrestling and facing somebody. If he's just coming out, I'm not marking out for it. Can you imagine this? Can you imagine this in any other situation, in any other scenario? Can you imagine Conan coming out in 1999 to the Wolfpack's theme music just to come out to the Wolfpack's theme music just so people can bob their head and then he fucking leaves? This doesn't work for me. This doesn't work in any other situation. This is terrible. This is a $1 billion company. And like you said, it's unnecessary.
Like, we accept when they run their commercials between matches, whatever else. Like, it gives time in a big arena for people to get the fuck out the ring and move on and all that kind of stuff. And lets them promote things that to look forward to in, partnerships that they have, responsibly, eat a Snickers, blah, 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 all that. Like, we've accepted that. No one's mad at that part.
Yeah.
Nobody. Or no one should, let me phrase that. No one should be mad about that part.
Yeah, you gotta pay the bills.
Synergy gotta synergize, right? We're fine with that. But all the other shit we just discussed with Nakamura, with bringing out Carmella, with the runaround, with the Super Dripstick 2000 or whatever the fuck it was. Like, no, fuck off with that. Like, if you want to do a third Hall of Fame class, sure, do that instead of this.
James, how high can you get your voice? What is your highest register?
As far as pitch or as far as amplitude?
Yeah, what you can do. Okay. Because your new slogan has to be unnecessary, but you have to say it in a high voice, like unnecessary.
Like Boogs?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow.
So we had the SmackDown Tag Team titles after that. The Usos defeating the Mysterios, who were dressed like the Macho Man. Dom Mysterio stinks. Rey Mysterio is still great. This was just a match.
6-minute TV match. I've seen him do. I saw Rey seemingly have a better match from the highlights I saw at SmackDown when he's doing like acai moonsaults.
What do you think of Dom?
Tom. You can say Dom and Tom. It's okay if you rhyme rich. You're the rapper. Trying to be all subtle on your own podcast. It's like, oh man, I don't want to drop bars on him right now. So Thomas, I'll call you Thomas to say.
Right.
But here's the thing, man. Dominic Mysterio, as far as what I've seen him do in the ring, I mean, obviously he's further along than a lot of people. The guy has no charisma. He has no presence. He is clearly dressing up as a wrestler. I don't think that he's embraced the other aspects of the business outside of performing moves. I'm not a fan. I don't want to see him. If for some reason he gets on Twitter tomorrow or Instagram or whatever it may be and announces his retirement, I'm not going to cry. There's going to be no op-ed on Dom Mysterio and what he means to this generation or anything. There's just, here's the thing. At the end of the day, there's a lot that he can learn, and he's going to have to eventually step out of his father's shadow. And that's what a lot of these children of wrestlers have to do. I mean, Cody Rhodes did it. It took him a lot of time. Dustin Rhodes did it with Goldust. Natalya refuses to do it. Charlotte Flair refuses to do it, though she has done it in some way, shape, or form outside of her father. But as of right now, Dom Mysterio is a non-factor, no charisma, no presence. I don't know how he's on WWE TV weekly and Walter isn't. How is Dom Mysterio getting a paycheck, but Bronson Reed had to be cut, or Alex Zane had to be given the boot? So it's just one of these things where, and I can understand it's most likely a Randy Savage type of WCW package where Rey Mysterio said, listen, you want me to resign? Okay, great. Sign me for $1 million for $1.1 million. $1 million goes to me. That other 0.1 goes to my son. Oh yeah, by the way, you're signing my son. And, he probably worked out a great deal, and that's why we're seeing it. I mean, it's nepotism. It works for Dominic. He seems like a, okay guy outside of the MAGA stuff.
Wait, what?
Yeah, apparently Dominic Mysterio is MAGA, just like what's her name? Raquel Gonzalez.
But at least Raquel makes sense. Like she's from RVG, so it's like that makes all the sense in the world to me.
Yeah, I try not to get into the psychological as to why Dominic thinks, MAG is the way to go. But, whatever. But I'm still not a fan.
Dominic Mysterio been on TV for 365 days. I ain't seen a vein in this man's arm yet. Like, has he entered a gym?
Yeah.
Like, at all. Like,
is he taking the candy?
He's in a weird situation. Like, as you mentioned with Charlotte, as you mentioned with Natalya, you get yourself, WWE Vince loves to have people basically run the greatest hits from, the prior generation from your family. Obviously the Samoans don't have that problem. They're able to, they do Samoan drops and a few other things, but they all have their own identity. Charlotte, while adapting to the legacy, she is still different from, Rick, just based off of the fact that she basically because she's a woman and they won't push her like she at the top like a man, and other stuff along with it too. But with Ray, also I don't like the idea of Ray only making $1.1 million from WWE. He's making more than that.
Oh yeah, I was just throwing out in case anybody is quoting me. Oh, he's making one. No, I'm just throwing out a number.
Do we need to get Charlotte her own version of Space Mountain?
Maybe. So,
well,
but
what's it going to be? The new Harry Potter ride, or
I guess they always come up with something new every few years at Disneyland or Disney World. But back to my point about, or what I said about Ray or Dominic and Ray is like, there's only one of those ever been made. There's only been one Rey Mysterio Jr. ever, and him with his body type. I mean, there are people with like, there are Ninja Max out there, sure, right? There are Keith Lees out there. There are people out there that don't look the part and can do all types of, cool flying things. But when you are Rey Mysterio Jr.'s son, you are El Hijo de Rey Mysterio Jr.
Yeah,
when you are El Hijo de Rey Mysterio Jr., you cannot be a fly guy, a flippy guy, and then not look athletic at the same time.
Yeah, you need to get on the juice.
It's not even that. It's like, hey man, like they don't have the same body types. There's two clearly different people. I don't need to see Rey Mysterio Jr.'s son do lucha and flying that's like 5% as inspired as the revolutionary stuff Rey Mysterio Jr. was doing 25 years ago. Sorry, 27 years ago, 28 years ago. Like, it's asinine, and it doesn't serve any purpose to get him over, actually. It is just something to do to fill time with the Usos or whoever else, or at the time it was with Seth. So, like, he's going to have to forge his own identity. He's going to have to come up with a wrestling style that is something distinct from Ray, and he's going to have to forge his own path. The problem is, he's probably never going to have a chance to forge that path on main roster WWE. He's going to have to go get it out the mud somewhere else if he's ever going to figure it out.
And see, that's the thing right there where you just said that he has to form his own identity in the ring. I said that he has to get the juice, or he has to, get the juice, but perhaps he needs to work with the juice. Call Hoovy and... No, I'm just kidding. But no, he does. I mean, he's coming out there and he's doing the same stuff Rey Mysterio's doing. And it's like, okay, great. You can cosplay your father. That's awesome. You can do the greatest hits. He obviously taught you all that. Rey Mysterio Jr. is a generational talent. A lot of people who are familiar with Rey Mysterio for his WWE runs don't realize that in the early 90s, people were laughing at this guy when he would show up to arenas because we were like, hey, who is this guy? Who is this kid? Who is this small guy? Yeah, who is this? Whose son is in here?
To be fair, he wasn't
trying to be a wrestler. 18. Yeah, no, he was young. Yeah. In War, in New Japan, in WCW, people were looking like, who is this guy? And then he would wrestle. The bell would ring. And unlike Bray Wyatt, and then the bell rings.
And then
for Rey Mysterio, it was, oh shit, and then the bell rang. And then you see why this guy is out there. And you say, oh, wow, he was a generational talent. Dom Mysterio is not a generational talent. So to come out there and cosplay the greatest hits of your father, hey, man, that's all well and good as far as getting to the start and finish of the match, if that's all you want to do. But if you want to make that connection outside of your father's name and outside of your last name, you have to bring something different to the ring, and you're not doing it with your personality. And so, I'm not going to say Dom Mysterio needs to make up these crazy moves or anything like that, but yes, he needs to go on an excursion, as you guys mentioned, to main event. No, I'm just kidding. He needs to go to Mexico. He needs to go to Japan. He needs to tour the indies. He needs to get out there. He has the basics. He needs to learn more, learn how to establish a connection with the crowd, because being 24, 25 years old, coming out with his hands in his pockets like, Bret Hart, and saying, oh, Dad, you're the best, and kissing his dad on the cheek, that's not getting anyone over. That's not going to happen.
Treating him like he's 16 rather than like damn near 25.
Yeah, and it was fine for Rey Mysterio for people to treat him like he was 16 because he looked like he was 16. Dom Mysterio doesn't look like he's 16. He looks like a grown man who shaved. It's kind of like when Tony Schiavone said, hey, don't touch my son. And you have this grown-ass man with a full beard in there and tattoos. And like, your son? Okay, yeah, he's your son, man, but that's a grown-ass man. He better start swinging.
Swing his arms.
Yeah, he better start doing something instead of taking those L's. And, But I guess less is more when it comes to Dom Mysterio. And by less is more in this case, I mean, I don't want to see him on TV. No TV, no pay-per-view.
Way too many Dom Mysterio minutes on this show.
Too many.
It's like 6 minutes. And he didn't do much anything. It's mostly Ray. And y'all still sending him the fuck out of here. Yeah. I'm sorry. It was 11 minutes. I'm sorry. Not 6 minutes. 11 minutes. My bad.
Damian Priest and Sheamus for the U.S. belt. This is actually pretty good.
Very good match. This is the third best match on the easily the third best match of the show.
Like I saw, Sheamus just continues to surprise you. Like he's just gonna hit hard and fight hard, and they're not gonna gimmick up his matches because he's a big brolic motherfucker, and they don't see no reason to do so. And Priest gets his first title win, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, Damian Priest is definitely a charismatic guy. He looks great. He can talk. He can work. I wish they would get him, and it seems as though they have, got him as far away from the dripstick and moist TV and all that nonsense. Why would you put this guy with Bad Bunny? Bad Bunny, who is cool. And then you immediately put him continuing with the zombies and the Miz and just the nonsense. So him being champion and coming out looking great in front of a large crowd is really great. Sheamus, he's been boring for a very long time. He should be someone that WWE should start sunsetting. But when he's in the ring, he delivers. He doesn't phone it in. He gives it his all. Whatever that may be, mileage varies with different people. But I would like to see Sheamus continue working with the quote-unquote younger guys, or I should say the fresher faces of WWE. And Sheamus likes hard-hitting. Next feud, Walter. Give it to
him. Breaking news. Before I throw it to you, James. Charlotte has moved into our program with Alexa Bliss.
God damn it.
You didn't see me a half hour ago, look and then put my head into my hands in disbelief. That was because of that. I just left it alone. I didn't mention it. I was just like, whatever. Yeah.
Bad news does not get better with time.
Boy, so Rhea Ripley has lost another feud to Charlotte. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So what was I going to say? Oh, we were talking about
Triple H has a plan.
No. Triple H does not have a plan. Triple H said that they had a plan. There's a difference. It's not the same thing. It was a nice, fun never match in the middle of the card. Strikers, and they went out there and they hit hard, and it was fun. And the catching finisher anti-air bro kick that he was still close that he had to turn into a V trigger was awesome. And that's all I'll say on it. It was a real fun match. I'm going to give it I think give it 3.5 stars for the time it was. It was a real fun match.
Alexa Bliss and Eva Marie.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
An embarrassment to the profession.
Yep.
Awful. Shit, who would want to see this? The funny thing was they didn't do any of the voodoo or anything like that. The voodoo might have helped.
This was unbelievable. Again, this goes right down to
how much can you fuck up in 3 minutes?
Or
you have to ask Eva, because Eva's really bad. Really bad. She wouldn't pass a stardom test to become a pro wrestler. She wouldn't. Am I lying?
No, you're not.
What is the stardom test?
Yeah, actually, what is that? I was just gonna roll with it because I was like, okay, this is obviously obviously a One Nation Radio deep cut.
So they put it. Oh, okay. So when Utami passed her training test. They put out like a YouTube video of what all went into it. And then when Isuki Hashino passed, they showed parts of her protest. And more or less it's you do a bunch of calisthenics and Hindu squats and the like. And then you do bump drills, forward bump, back bump, flip or roll, forward rolls and all that kind of stuff, backward rolls or whatever else. And then you wrestle a number of matches, like 2 or 3. Like I remember when Asuki was in there, it was basically just ground wrestling, like almost like Greco-Roman wrestling, like like Azumi was stretching the shit out of Isuki. And then based off of how it looked, you know, they blown you up, they had you wrestle, and they want to see what you can do and how skilled you are based off of what you've trained for and what they trained you for, and if you complete it. The head trainer at the time, when it was Utami, it was Kagetsu, and it was Mayu, and it was Rossi, and they ask her questions, she gives answers, and then Rossi all basically approved her and said she passed. I don't remember who asked Asuki what, but I remember back in 2018 that's what it was. So like, you got to go through a bunch of calisthenics, blow yourself up, and then wrestle like 2 or 3 matches, wrestle in the middle of the ring with multiple people or whatever else on different different factors or whatever else of technical wrestling and mat wrestling and chain wrestling and rope running, and you get passed or failed after that. And then if you don't pass, you train some more until you eventually pass or you quit.
Yeah, that don't sound like Alexa would even pass that.
Like, keep in mind, I'm talking about the Stardom one. I'm not saying like the depraved one is like you gotta like the Kakusa Nagayo Gaia one that's like famous for like how brutal it was because they're beating the living shit out of each other. Like we're talking about like standard technical wrestling. We're not talking about throwing forearm shots and none of that, or slaps or punches and none of that. So, yeah, she couldn't do it. I don't think she could.
RK Bro versus AJ Styles and Omos, title change. Orton and Riddle win, become the latest oddball tag team to win the titles. They'll keep them until they break up and feud, and this is probably
at WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's probably a WrestleMania match.
Yep.
I've seen a lot of people hate on the RK Bro pairing. We talked about earlier CM Punk being a mentor to someone, or we see Sting gravitating towards Darby Allin. Randy Orton has been stale for a very long time. When we start talking about the WWE product and it being stale, not only in production and presentation, but there's also wrestlers. There's been people who've been around for 10, 15, 20 years. Randy Orton's been in WWE on TV in some capacity since at least 2002, 2003.
Yep.
So to see him try and do something a little different, being a tag team with Matt Riddle, for me, it's a welcome change of pace. I do not want to see Randy Orton, as he did in the last few years, win another world title, win a Royal Rumble. This is how people get stale, is that not only are they hanging around, but they're repeating the same things that they've already done. It's, they did better years ago. So this RK Bro stuff is okay with me. It's getting Riddle over. Riddle was already over. Randy was already over. And now this is a new chapter for Randy Orton, and this is how he should be used in a tag team, not the main event, nice in the mid card. Let him get his pop, let him get his RKO, and let him get his rub or put his rub on somebody else who's going to be around longer than Randy Orton. I mean, Randy Orton's just getting up there in age. This isn't a 22-year-old guy anymore.
Neither is Riddle.
Yeah, I mean, neither is Riddle, but I'm sure there's also a different mindset and different pay grade at play here.
Yeah.
So, obviously Randy's dad a long time ago pulled him aside and said, hey, listen, all those cross-body blocks you're doing off the top rope, come over here, let me smarten you up. And he stopped that shit. And he started getting paid. Riddle, he wants to do all that. Randy's going to say, okay, you do that for me, and I'll come over here and just hit my RKO and get paid. So, you know,
this show opened
it's
with
fine.
Randy Orton and closed with John Cena.
Yeah. So, you mentioned the AEW and like the steward and apprentice type of relationships that we had talked about earlier.
Yeah, Jedi and Padawan.
Yeah. Senpai Kohai. It's funny. It's like Randy Orton's 41, Riddle's 35. And Riddle turns, I believe Riddle turns 36 before Orton turns 42. It is like, it's just funny to me. It's like, he's a young guy about to be 36 in like half a year or like 5 months. It's just like, all right, bro. Whatever.
Wow, for some reason I thought he was like 28 or 29.
That's how he looks.
That's how they trick you.
That's how he looks. Got to remember, he had a whole UFC career before this. Mm-hmm. And you remember, like, when did he start? 2018?
Yeah.
So
for 6 years he's been wrestling.
Okay. Yeah. So it's longer than I even think. So that's okay.
Yeah, but that was SummerSlam.
That match was fine. It just went like 6 minutes, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If Randy Orton's involved in these short 6-minute things, it's not a big problem. If he's trying to have the greatest match of all time with Edge, well, that's when it becomes an issue.
I mean, that match is one of the best matches the main roster put on last year. I need more of those and less of the kind of matches that Edge and Rollins are doing that's like just completely like dead for the first half of the match and then they want to actually do some shit. Like, if you want to do 22 minutes of that where you only try hard for 14 minutes, just do like an 18-minute match then.
Mm-hmm.
Spare us.
NXT Takeover. Some people said that this felt like they were watching Club Lavella.
Club Lavella wasn't this fucking good.
The last fucking episode of Nitro. A lot of stuff like that. I caught the last 3 matches of this, and I saw a goddamn classic in one of them. Like,
oh yeah,
my leading match of the year. Like,
same here, my guy. Same here. just, dude. No one has a better top 4 matches than Walter in WWE history. Nobody.
Wait, Walter? I thought you were talking about the Dakota Kai match.
No, that match was really good though.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, like. That match, easy 5 stars. Like on the Meltzer scale, that's like some 5.5 type shit. Yeah, just an amazing match. Lived up to its predecessor very well. Crowd was just. That match went on 3rd, and I was like, oh my god, like Cross has no fucking shot. And yeah, man, it was an amazing match. I mean, where do you want to jump from there? Where do you want to start? Main event and go down?
Samoa Joe and Karrion Kross. It was fine.
Good match. That's it. I'd probably give it 3.25.
Yeah. End of the Cross era. They ushered him out of the arena with hearty chants, boos.
Yep.
Nah, hey, goodbye.
Where's Scarlett during the entrance?
Where's Scarlett during the entrance?
Yeah, and this match was this wasn't on Cross. This match was only but just good because Samoa Joe was gassed. He was blown the fuck up almost immediately. Like Shane McMahon, Brock Lesnar blown up fast. Like he was sucking wind. This match went like 12 minutes. He was sucking wind by at least minute 2 or 3. He was holding on, and he did a damn good job while blowing up to keep going. But you could tell he was exhausted. The whole holding on for dear life the rest of the match for 12 minutes or however long it went.
Older guy, probably carrying more weight, has been inactive, off the injuries.
This won't be his best match during his tenure. As he gets into ring shape or whatever else, like. He's going to be better, and he's going to also be in there with lighter and better guys, so it won't be this kind of an issue. But yeah, I was concerned that this match that he was in that kind of condition.
A 3-time NXT champion now, most
first ever. Yep.
He was sent back for additional learning, in NXT, and I don't know what they do with him going forward, but
be the guy to carry promos.
Yeah, I'm not sure who the baby faces are or the heels are to fight him, but maybe Pete Dunne, maybe something like that. But
Dunne's gonna happen. Dunne's been sitting in the waiting wing. He was going to be the next challenger for whoever won between Cross and Joe. They've gone face to face with. He's gone face to face with both of them. He was on deck. That might be TV more than Takeover. Actually, that's how soon we'll get that. I think.
Did you catch this one at a time?
Yeah, I caught it. It was good for what it was. The right outcome came out. One of the things that I kind of want to get your guys' opinion on, you mentioned it earlier, the Hardy chants and Karrion Kross getting the hey, hey, na-na song, goodbye sort of thing. And there was some reaction online where people said, oh, he didn't deserve this. He deserved more. And I'm sitting there saying, this guy's a heel. And not only is he a heel, but when do we get to a point in pro wrestling where everyone, regardless of their allegiance, heel or babyface, regardless of their performance, that everybody needs to get a standing ovation and a big thank you for your service? Like, what is going on here? Why do people think that Karrion Kross deserved better? This guy is a historically boring guy who, for some reason, had a career and impact in AAA, signed to NXT, no charisma. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. I mean, if you want me to give him a standing ovation for getting paid, then yeah, I'll do that. But as a character, and whether he's leaving NXT or staying or whatever it may be, I don't care. Am I missing something here? Where did we get to? And I guess my overall question is, why should I, as a fan, care about whether a heel is leaving the territory, or even a mediocre worker, or a guy with no presence, no charisma, etc.?
I think it's just an illustration of like how in NXT, most people that wrestle there are beloved to some extent, but Kross isn't at all.
Seriously,
he's kind of.
Who is the last person that got a takeover match that you knew that was their last match as they lose, and like you just like, okay, move on. Like, who gives a fuck? No, I don't mean who gives a fuck as far as like, but was going to like leave no fanfare, just like, all right, cool. Or actually, instead of fanfare, gets jeered with. I didn't know about these nah hey hey goodbye things until now, but like apparently he got them. But who's the last person in NXT to be someone that you knew was losing as their last call? Corbin, maybe? I didn't even know we knew that was Corbin's first call up.
Yeah.
But still, just like, that's illustrative of what his run was in NXT. He got a Brock Lesnar push. He is not Brock Lesnar. Under any way, shape, or form. He's not a performer. He might be the athlete at this day and age, but he's not the size. He doesn't have that aura. He doesn't work as stiff. He's in a brand / promotion where like he's one of the softer workers in the entire division as far as striking in holds and believability and whatever else. Like, to go from watching Samoa Joe, who he's wrestling, to watching Walter, to watching Dragunov, to watching Cole and O'Reilly, to watch them beat the live ever loving shit out of each other throughout the entire night, and then to watch Kross still not fucking get it. It's like, look, bro, you're gonna have a great long career in this business, and congratulations for you. But he's gonna be one of the very first motherfuckers to talk about how fans backlash to people and fans aren't grateful. Watch.
Oh yeah.
And look, if you don't want to wrestle that style that the fans want, I don't think the fans should give him shit for it, right? He's working the way that everyone says they should work. Perfectly safe, perfectly fine, looks good size, looks believable, does everything textbook pretty well, right? But that's not what's going to inspire anybody. Yeah. Like, if you want to say people that do like him, I think they like the flash in the stuff around him, and not the actual heart and substance of the character or person. Because like, as far as that's always been left wanting. There's always been just something that you fill in the blanks, as opposed to like, nah, you can tell you what's all going on. He's just there.
That's why they think about what he could be rather than what he is.
I think he's more of an image than an actual like 3D thing. Like he's just light. Like, and they never really tried. Like, there's a difference between Aleister Black and him. I can tell you things about Aleister Black's personality and character trait and what he believed in than Cross. Cross was like more of like just a blank chaos agent, which is like, that's cool if you're a writer to just do crazy, ridiculous, off the wall stuff, and then say it's because of the nature of the spirit of, you know, what the person you're of this character, or whatever else. But like, he's not even crazy or off the walls like that. He's pretty tame by comparison of being this kind of chaos agent. He didn't shake anything up really or fundamentally do anything. He was just there. He spent his time. He moved the fuck on. And quite frankly, he's better suited for the main roster because Vince, with his wacky imagination, it'll take him all kinds of places that Cross and NXT couldn't.
O'Reilly and Cole. I thought this was good. Not great at all.
Shocking finish.
They didn't go as long as everyone thought. I thought they'd go like 79 minutes. 79 minutes. But they went 25, broke it up quite, creatively. When the finish was happening, I was like, "Oh my god, this is the finish!" And then it was.
I couldn't believe that was the finish.
I started laughing.
He's right next to his kendo stick. I thought he was going to hit him with a kendo stick and then get up, and then he can't get out the cage because his neck's hurt, and then we're going to continue and go like another. I thought they had another like 5 minutes in them.
Add this to the history of NXT matches that end while somebody is handcuffed and wins.
Third one.
I saw that. I was like, this may be worse than Johnny Gargano because like. He just got caught by a move that someone did while they were handcuffed. Like, this person was handcuffed and submitted you. Like, so you had to sit there and take it.
Yeah. And there's a kendo stick in a chair right next to you within arm's reach, and you still tapped out.
Yeah, I imagine this is an emotional night. Cole looks like he's perhaps on his way out of the promotion. He has not re-signed with WWE.
Nor should he. At least, like, if he resigns, if he goes back to WWE, fine. But become a free agent first.
I don't ever want to hear anything.
Become a free agent. No, I'm just saying, like, if he does go to WWE, come back or whatever else, like, he needs to reach free agency and then decide whenever he comes back on the main roster or whatever else from there, or go to anywhere else. He needs to like become a free agent officially. Don't just re-sign before hearing people's best pitch. He's the top free agent in the market. That's not Daniel Bryan because we all think Daniel Bryan's already signed.
Right. Yeah, I'll probably go 4 stars on this one. I didn't think it was. I haven't been crazy about the Colton O'Reilly feud pretty much all year.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like it's either 3 3/4 or 4. I was surprised the first fall ended in so fast. Like he caught him with an Arana cradle to pin him, I believe. And then they went to the hardcore match, and I really liked the hardcore match part of the match. And then they went to the cage, and there was a bunch of stallings to get the cage down. I'm seeing like at the bottom rope a trash can, and I'm just like, are they gonna close it down? And they had to pull it out. I'm thinking like, does that play into their match? And this got pulled out, now they can't put it back in. And then one thing I noticed, I think they went home early. The reason why I think they went home early is because when O'Reilly brings out the bag that had the cuffs in it, at first I thought it was a bag that had thumbtacks in it, but it didn't. So when Cole goes and grabs the handcuffs out of it, he literally dumps the bag upside down after he already has the handcuffs out, like he's looking for a key. And then he can't find the fucking key.
Mm-hmm.
And then the match ends so abruptly, I'm thinking like, that's probably the spot they're going for. He's dead to rights. He's been hit with the kendo stick. He's been hit with pump kicks. Catch him with the heel hook. He can't move. That gives O'Reilly time to get the key and get out before he can, and then they continue. And then they just ended it like that. And it's like, yo, like, this might be his last match at NXT. I can't believe this match ended this abruptly. This should have gone another, another one stanza of near falls, whatever you want to call it. Like, I just thought it was a really flat finish that kind of just caught me off guard. I was not expecting that. And I also had to follow, one of the best matches of the last 5 years in the world. So there's also that too at play.
Walter and Ilya Dragunov. My God.
Man, they did it again.
Incredible match. Fighting spirit. Small guy versus big guy. Having to live up to expectations of what they did in a empty arena match, which is gonna definitely be like, I'm sure I'm gonna write something glowing about it at the end of the year. So I don't know how deep I want to get in on it, but it's one of the best matches I've seen. It's the best match definitely I've seen this year. I just enjoyed it so much. Like, there was small bits of like sloppiness that just like engross you further into watching it. I was like going like, oh my God, like I was popping for every like chop and cut off and just every kind of sequence they put together. And that the submission at the end with the hanging choke was perfect.
Yeah.
It was like, I didn't want no bullshit like the Goldberg match. I didn't want the referee to stop it. Like, I wanted to see someone get their ass beat, and after all this time, somebody finally beat Walter.
Yeah.
Yes, it was pretty great, and as James would say, it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary beating and great violence and everything that I want in pro wrestling. Pro wrestling to me is a struggle. It's a fight. There should always be urgency. We're not out here to entertain or put smiles on people's faces. If that so happens during a match, then so be it. But ultimately, the goal is to win, is to get that paycheck, is to get a championship, is to put yourself in better contention for a title, is to be able to take care of your family. You're not out here hot dogging it, playing around. This was a fight. This was serious. If anyone didn't know who these two guys were, they told you who they were at TakeOver. This was an incredible match. It's I think, Rich, you even said it yourself on Twitter. You said, you don't have to think about it. This was easily 5 stars. There's no second watch needed. We don't need to, hash this over with anyone. We know what we're seeing. We know what it is. This was a very good match. And if this is the swan song of NXT TakeOver, I think the Kyle O'Reilly match and the Walter match are very great final send-offs for what this era of NXT was and what it meant for a lot of people and what it could have continued to be. I mean, the successes and failures, you can see it in these matches. What worked, what didn't work, what worked for a short time, what worked for a long time, etc., etc. So yeah, Walter match, great. Cole and O'Reilly, I'm glad it didn't go 75 minutes. I'm glad people weren't looking at their hands or, all this other nonsense. It kept me entertained. The guy who's apparently staying in the territory won. It is what it is.
This is like incredible wrestling. In my head, as the match goes on, when you go to double down spots or near falls, I start thinking like, where is this? I hate when it happens, but in my mind, I'm thinking like, is this a fine match, bad match, good match, great match? And then from there out, and then as it goes on, I'm thinking like numbers in my head of star rating. And before a match even finished, sometimes it happens, right? So I have it. So this
during the entrances.
So I do this. I come in everything blank and then I go from there. So the thing for me is, I forgot where I was in this match, but I was questioning whether it was 5 stars. Like, once I like the wrestling, the mat wrestling they did in the beginning so much, and then they kept going. And like after the first near fall, I think it was after the first power bomb, I think is when I was like, yo, this match is fucking awesome. And I was thinking like 4.5. And then it kept going. And I was like, yo, this match is already 5 stars. And I was like, man, I don't even think they're close to done yet. And then they just kept going. And I was just like, Jesus, these, like Walter has, like I said before, Walter's best 4 matches in WWE, the Dunn match in New York, the Bake match at Cardiff, the October match for the title with Dragunov in this match. Nobody has nobody has a better top 4 matches in WWE history than him. Not Gargano, not Bret Hart, not Shawn Michaels, not Kurt Angle, not Chris Benoit. It's him.
He's really great, man.
He's fucking awesome. Like when people say this as a gimmick or whatever else, or it's like people say their thing or whatever else, and that's the
One Nation Radio's own Walter, I might add.
Right. Yeah. So when people say their thing about like I'm the best flyer in the world or whatever else, Ricochet or Ospreay over the years, and then you'll see people like Lance Archer or Bronson Reed say they're best big man in wrestling. No, the fuck you are not. Like we can't even do the self promotion thing like that. Everyone should hop in this mission and be like, take this shit down as Walter. How fucking dare you? He's fucking unbelievably awesome. Like he wrestles. All he does is wrestle like a fucking young lion. That's all he does. He just wrestles like a young lion. He's fucking incredible. Like he is. It is Okada-ish how good he is. Like. He's not doing anything crazy. He's not doing anything ridiculous. He's not flying over the place. Yes, he's super violent, whatever else. And yes, he'll drop you on your head occasionally, whatever else. But like, all he's doing is just wrestling really hard and better than everybody else, or by 99.9% of the wrestling world in big matches. That's all he does. He's fucking incredible.
He's the modern Kenta Kobashi.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
I'm not saying he is as good as Kobashi. Kobashi is like so prolific, but you pull up the Walter Cage match and you look at all the shit you didn't watch, and you're just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
there's plenty of stuff for you to watch. If
he don't got
WWE
the flips
stuff.
like Kobashi, but like everything else, like that frame, the same size, wearing black. Yeah, man.
He's fucking awesome. I love him. Like, he's one of my very favorite, like, I don't know how many people I would pick before him if I had to have a big match or whatever else, but, like, then there's no way he's not in the top 8. For me, like, out of watching a big-time match, he's fucking incredible. Around the whole entire world. Look, Maya Iwatani, Shingo Takagi, Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada, Takeshita, like, Shuri, Iwatani, Nanae Takahashi, Vikingo, Phoenix. Who you want to pull out?
You gotta respect Ray Phoenix.
So, I'm just saying, like he is absolutely
Osprey.
in. He's Osprey.
Yeah.
It's an omission. It's a snub that I didn't mention Osprey. Osprey's on that level as well. Ibushi, Suzuki, all that, all them people you want to name. He is absolutely on that level of performer. He's incredible.
Yeah, no, he's
Arisa Nakajima. Yeah, just sorry.
He's one of the. No, you're right. I mean, he's one of the top guys, not only in NXT but in the wrestling business. I hope that he, in this new incarnation of NXT, that he is one of these guys that just moves up to the main roster. There's money with Lashley and Walter. There's money with Goldberg and Walter. There's money with Lesnar and Walter if you really want to do it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that he can do on the main roster that would be really good and really fun to see. And I hope it happens.
They're not going to let him wrestle like that.
No, they're not.
Not a chance. Like, I wanted him last year before the pandemic happened, when they were shooting, they were going to do the Dublin takeover have it be Walter versus Balor. I thought we were going to get that match. We're not going to get it. But What I did want was I wanted Walter to come over here and become the NXT champion. I don't know how it happens. I don't know what machination or whatever else, but like, I don't care if he comes here and he only wrestles on takeovers and he only comes here like twice on TV before takeovers. And he basically becomes Brock Lesnar. I don't the Brock Lesnar Heyman thing run they had. I would like him to be NXT champion and have him have these kind of matches with all them little never dudes, the tough white men they have in NXT, and have him just reel out 4 1/4 5-star matches for like a year and a half, 2 years. I don't even fuck shit. Do it until I die. That's how fucking good he is. Like, I mean, there was a point. There were multiple times I told Rich, like, if they buried Walter with that NXT UK belt, I'd be happy with it. He's that awesome, and like, he's just the best. Or not the best. He's one of the very, very best ever, like, that I've ever seen. Like, he's that level of big match wrestler. I'm like, he's one of the best big match wrestlers I've ever seen. He's incredible. Love him.
It's like he's gonna give you one of them a year. Like, it
seems
might not be like it might not be like 4 or 5 of them a year or like that insane pace, but like, it's like, yeah, man, I'm calling my shot. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I didn't catch the previous 2 matches, so James, you can lead us through.
Okay, so the second match was Dakota Kai versus Raquel for the NXT Women's title. Very good match. Somewhere in that 3.5 to 3 3/4 range. They were wrestling like they only had a certain amount of time and they had to fit their stuff in, which led for a brisk pace. This was a match that you rarely get to see out of Dakota Kai, but you know she can do, where she can almost be like the big woman, small woman match, but because they know each other so well, they can basically do all these counters to their spots that people recognize. And it was kind of advanced level wrestling from a storytelling perspective of people countering counters of counters, or not counters, but like, cause that is like the Ospreay shingled level, but like they were countering counters. I'll put it that way. So that was really cool. And played into the strengths of Raquel is just a powerhouse, and like all her matches that have been good in the last 10 months have been playing into that. Whenever they try to get into her doing more, it becomes a problem. And they basically said, none of that. We're only focusing on your strengths, like most good wrestlers and bookers do. And her and Dakota put together a well-told story that felt on point with the other high-level NXT Women's title matches on takeovers. Is it towards the lower tier? Yeah, but it was a damn good match. I like I said, like, if someone gave this 3 and 3, I'm thinking 3 3/4, but or 3.5. But like if someone said 4, I would say the shortness of time probably for me would make me pause. But like as far as the level of wrestling, I would say yeah, I get you. But it also like the fact there wasn't much of a back and forth. Like you kind of knew the way it was laid out. They were going towards getting you one spot where Dakota looked like she could win, and they kick, and then she keeps trying again, and then she ends up getting caught and pinned. So I thought this was a pleasant surprise, because that Ember match that they had, the defense against Ember last takeover left me was like, she regressed. But now we're kind of back on pace to what like Raquel has done in big matches where she's needed a big match in the last 10 months. So happy.
It's funny. I saw a tweet that made me laugh quite a bit. It said Raquel's slam finisher is so impactful because her opponent's back is already damaged enough from carrying her.
Tom, do you have any remarks on the match?
No, the match was pretty straightforward. They didn't embarrass each other out there. They didn't embarrass themselves. They didn't embarrass the company. And sometimes that's all you can ask for. I'm not a big Dakota Kai fan. I'm not a fan of MAGA Raquel. But I definitely see Raquel having a life on the main roster, them getting some mileage out of them, or out of her, rather. For Dakota, that may be the same. She always has this face like she just took a shit or she smells something nasty. So that's kind of one of the things I always notice about Dakota Kai. She has that face where you're like, okay, whatever. But the talent's there. She can promo. She can obviously, if you give her something to sink her teeth into, she can do that and become a character. So I think there's some things that they could do with her as well. So yeah, I hope to see both of these girls down the line, or both these women, I should say, down the line doing something great. The fundamentals are there, and the crowd was into it. It was not a waste of time. It complemented the show. So yeah, this was definitely not a Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair situation.
Yeah, so one thing, or two things I had to point out. One is like the match order of this card to go from the $1 million match to the women's title match to the UK title match to Riley Cole 3 to NXT match. You notice how like they did not put themselves in a position to where they put on matches. Well, the main event you could say, but that's the main event, so I had to go on last. But like outside of the main event, they did not put any match in a position where like they had to go follow that, and you know they had no fucking chance. Like, because if they had put Raquel and Dakota fourth after following a 3 stages of hell type of 2 out of 3 falls, 3 stages of hell match, and Walter versus Dragunov, this could have died a slow death even with the same level of execution. So
Definitely.
Much like NXT in the wrestling world, they book and sequence their matches to have people like do good and not get embarrassed, as opposed to WWE where it's like we don't care, or the main roster, we don't care. So also of note, during the video package, they showed the resentment and the times wrestlers have overlooked Dakota to get to Raquel over the time. Showed Io running to walk in and offer the title shot that she ended up winning the belt in the contract to Raquel by walking right past Dakota, and talked about like, you wouldn't be champion was for me. I carried you and everything, and you were in obscurity. They showed old Raquel in the chaps in the Mae Young Classic and stuff. And then Raquel said, you use people and then get jealous when they become bigger stars than you. And they showed like Dakota and Tegan and then showed her turning on Tegan too. And I was just like, I'm fucking laughing. And then towards the end of it, like Dakota was like, I am not your sidekick. And I was like, oh yeah, you are. Not only are you a sidekick, you are the captain of Team Sidekick. So congratulations.
Damn.
take your hats on.
Damn. How are you going to have a whole wrestling career as just a sidekick?
Look, and I cannot wait until I get off, because I didn't watch Takeover until about half hour before we started recording this. But I cannot wait to get that to my phone so that I can then talk to Caleb Baldwin and Floyd Johnson Jr. about what happened to the captain of Team Kick, who they swear there's always this long-term story to get her to be the champion after all these years, and I kept telling them, I watch this show every week. They have never presented Dakota as a champion under any circumstances ever. She's going to lose. And sure enough, what happened? She fucking lost again. So there we are. She is there to be basically like in upper mid-carder that will lose big matches. That's her thing. She won matches only because she was going to lose this match. So she will go back to losing again against other people that are up at the high level again. So there you go. And I like Dakota a lot, but don't try to shoot me this bullshit. This is not WWE where people just all of a sudden become champion out of nowhere, or the main roster. This is how they book. She is at this level. She will not get to that level. She is there. She is not at the Neville level.
James is blowing out all the kisses and taking all those flowers for his victory lap. Go ahead.
And then from there, we can go to the $1 million match. Cameron Grimes versus Ted DiBiase in a slave match, to where if the slave, Cameron Grimes, loses, the slave that's worth $50 million will then transfer the slave duties over to the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase. Very good match. Another one of those singles matches where I say to myself, why in the fuck did they do the ladder match to begin with? They did it again. They had another 3 3/4 level match together. And LA Knight does a very good job, and it reminds me of Bobby Roode in a way of making a hybrid of heel wrestling with modern stuff that people want to see to pop the crowd, especially with the opponent you're in. There was a spot where Grimes had the advantage early, tried to go for the cave-in early. He turned into a sit-out powerbomb, or he turned into a powerbomb from near fall. Stuff like that. Just use your imagination and don't bore us to tears by being the traditional old guy or old school guy. Like, don't be so old school that like the match looks like it should be on fucking VCR or on VHS. Like, actually modernize your stuff. So he does a really good job with that. I think both of them will be successful. At the end, Grimes ends up winning after some shenanigans with DiBiase getting involved and getting his heat back on LA Knight with the belt by hitting him with the belt, putting in $1 million dream. And then Grimes wins with a cave in and gets the pin. Crowd was hot for it. Later on in the show, they did a backstage promo showing, and it felt very NWA studio-ish of Grimes and DiBiase cutting a promo celebrating that they're titled. They're also allude to having a $1 million celebration on Tuesday, I believe. So this was a huge success, and it was like like we said, like, this is an X Factor match. Once this match went off, it was like, this felt very much like one of those 2015 NXT Takeover matches where it's like, it's in the studio, it's people that kind of don't fit the mold of super indie guy, but like they're going out there and they're having a match that has some indie elements in it, but like at the heart, it feels like a WWE told story, and it worked. So yeah, like, and the crowd was super hot for Grimes when he won and popped all of that. So I thought this was a huge success to start the show off that way.
Cool, yeah, man. This was a really good match. Two guys with great characters. LA Knight is 37, 38 years old. So I think he's going to be on the main roster sooner rather than later. Cameron Grimes, I've never been a fan of Trevor Lee. Never been a fan of Trevor Lee. I'm a fan of Cameron Grimes.
LA Knight will be 39 November 1st.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so in this new incarnation of NXT, I'm sure he's going to be on Raw and SmackDown, like I said, sooner rather than later. This was a good match. This worked for NXT. This would work on the main roster. Both guys are ready. I want to see them do it. And yeah, it was very entertaining for what it was.
Yeah.
James, would you like to say a few words about NXT?
The eulogy?
More than what we said a couple weeks back?
No, I'm just fucking with you.
I mean,
either y'all boys did the crate challenge yet?
Hell no! What?
Fuck no!
I'm a grown man. No.
The real thing is, I can't wait till GCW or some indie show does a crate challenge, or someone does a dive off the top crate. That's gonna happen. That is definitely gonna happen on some outlaw mud show where someone does one of the dives and lands on somebody. Absolutely.
Yep. So all y'all that's listening, do not do the crate challenge. I don't care if you think you can do it. I don't care. I've seen women do this in heels. I have seen someone roll a blunt up and light it on the way down on the last one and step off. I have seen people lift weights on the top of the thing. I have seen people bust their natural ass on
every other one.
They bust their face, bust everything. Like don't like. I don't know who's doing this. Like, I don't know who's making these crates easily available, but
they sell them out.
Something's going on.
They're always on the back of stores where they're just available. They're out back. You can get them.
Yeah, they're making them a little too available.
Look, that's what they want to do. Go for it. My favorite one was the one where like it's on the asphalt and this guy's going up and basically when you watch these, basically like most of these, like the real struggle is because there's a row of 1, a row of 2, a row of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 6, and on the way back down 6, 5, 4, all the way down. To me, from what I've seen, once you get from 5 and higher, that's when the level of difficulty raises exponentially. And I saw this guy go up, go 4, 5, 6 in quick steps, and he got up there quick. And then he got to the top step, and he thought he was finna hop off, and he was on asphalt, and I guess this man thought it was sweet because, on grass it's a lot harder, it's sturdier foundation on the asphalt. This man thought he was finna hop and skip and thought it was sweet. Once he got to that top row of 7, and that man came crashing down, and by the time he landed, he got overconfident because of the asphalt, but the asphalt ended up, he almost landed on the asphalt, but the last crate, he landed head first on the last crate on the back end, on the back row, and that saved him from his head hitting concrete and their asphalt, and he probably would have been really messed up, but it is comical that the fact that this man basically, almost like some video game shit, jumps off the top and lands head first on the top crate, but that crate saved him. That crate doomed him and saved him at the same time, them crates. So,
stay off them crates.
Stay off them crates, like stay off drugs. Don't do drugs. Don't do crates, kids.
Yeah, I saw one video where one guy, he's ascending to the top, and then out of the blue, like Shelton Benjamin coming from the top rope, this guy just runs out. This little kid runs out and just hits a super kick on the crates.
Yeah.
And the guy just winds up falling. I'm like, who the fuck does that?
Oh,
I would have beat his ass.
You know who does that? A terrible stepdad that had their stepson give him one that was owed to him. He just
I would have definitely pulled one of those in my youth.
Like, I don't know for sure, but that's the kind of heat that's the kind of like disrespect that you recognize, like, oh, this is a personal thing. This is a personal thing. And the way he fell, the way dude fell, and he just sat there and looked off his space or whatever else. It was like I can't get you right now because I'm hurting. When I get you, I'm gonna get you. That was one of those. But yeah. Is there anything we got anything else to bring up? Because okay, so. Stardom's Grand Prix starts back up. The last 2 weekends of shows have been canceled because of COVID concerns inside of the company with personnel. Like a lot of the wrestlers are already vaxxed, but because
James, they didn't call everybody to the arena first and then announce no one would be showing up.
Believe it or not, no, that did not happen. They canceled the shows and issued refunds. How about that? So
you mean they were responsible adults?
Yeah.
What?
So some of the wrestlers were in people's close contact list, so they had to cancel the show. So, but this weekend coming up, they start the shows back, and the Saturday show, Rich, Tam versus Shuri. Ooh boy,
One Nation Radio explodes.
Cannot wait. Oh, that match is gonna be great. That match is gonna be great, bro. That match is gonna be great. I was looking at what Tam has left in this tournament because she pretty much got most of her matches done. The only thing left for her is I don't know the order, but Shuri, Azumi, Utami, and Takumi. Like her final 4 matches are gonna be great. Oh man, it's gonna be great.
If you can somehow get your hands on it. I like to get my hands on that, a way to watch that Seedling show to see Rhea Mizunami and Risa Nakajima.
It is
their title match from the 19th.
Yes, we will review that next week. It's up, so it's up already. So we'll watch that this week and then we'll review it on the show next weekend.
Indeed.
Yep. Tom, thanks for coming on with us. This was a pleasure, man. We got to have you back on more often. You and Tanya both. We got to have y'all back on more often.
How they come on like back to back again.
Yeah, that did happen last time. Yeah, so, yeah, man, throw us your plugs.
Yeah, as far as plugs are concerned, the Pro Wrestling Only Mostly network on SoundCloud, Spotify, etc., wherever you get your podcasts, you can hear me on the Military Industrial Suplex. I am back doing some more episodes. Candy Lee, going to interview her this week, my second time talking to her, second conversation. That should be out later this week. And thank you guys for having me. That's all I have to plug.
Okay.
Awesome, man.
Thanks for listening, y'all. That's the end of the show. Be sure to rate us on whatever app you're using to listen to this with. Drop by our Red Circle and drop us off with a donation, and be sure to check out ProWrestlingTees.com/Social Suplex. Don't just get the CM Punk t-shirt, get the One Nation Radio Social Suplex merch. Listen to other shows on the network. Besides One Nation Radio, you have Keepin It Strong Style. You have the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show. You have Grown Men Watch This Shit. You have the Grave Consequences Podcast. You have 8-Bit Suplex. You have All Things Elite. And you have Great Match Generator. Thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Peace.
There are so many reasons not to skip breakfast. So many savory, mouth-watering, tasty, delicious beyond all belief reasons. Actually, that last one was pretty convincing. Stop by for a McDonald's breakfast. Mix and match a sausage biscuit, sausage McMuffin, sausage burrito, or hash browns, any two for just $2. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with combo meal.
Sports have a way of bringing us all together. And at Sleeper, we developed a fantasy platform designed to make leagues more fun and personal. Sleeper includes an integrated chat and every feature you could want for your NFL, NBA, and even esport leagues. Plus, it's completely free with no ads. See why millions have made Sleeper the fastest growing fantasy platform. Download Sleeper on the App Store or Google Play today.